What's up, guys? On this week's show, Halloween review, Red Dead 2 slave labor, and Netflix cancels everything? Plus, dumb shit of the week. All that and more on this episode of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. With me is my co-host, Benoit.
It seems weird drinking Sunny Delight out of a 2-liter.
So, how's your week been so far?
Well, let's see. I caught a stomach bug, I shaved, and I did laundry. So all in all, same shit, different day, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess I can be partly to blame, I guess, for your sickness. I mean, I still don't feel like I'm patient zero. I got it from someone, but we'll just blame the ether in general.
We're going to have to get to the bottom of it and kill them.
Right. It's like you can't be spreading your plague to anyone else. No one else will suffer because of you, goddammit.
Nobody.
It's funny, so obviously from the title, we're going to talk about Halloween a little bit later. DJ Melly Mel is going to join me for that one at the end of the show. But right now, it's just going to be me and Benoit. But it's funny because when we went to go see Halloween, a trailer played for a movie that I had heard like absolutely nothing about up until I saw it the other night, Saturday night. I was like, you know what? I was like, we're going to talk about this because it's ironic. My girlfriend and I's anniversary is on October 10th. And for our anniversary, we went to an escape room. And Benoit had been talking about like, oh, you know, I really want to go to one of these and do one. Because, I mean, now, have you been to one before?
I have never been to one, no, but I really want to.
Yeah, no, we went to an 80s themed escape room, and it was actually really fucking fun. But it's ironic because I went to my first escape room just a couple weeks ago, and Benoit's never been to one, and now we have this trailer for this movie called Escape Room. Now, if you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely say to go check it out, but from the best I can describe it is it reminds me a lot of the Cube movies. I know that you said you've seen all of those, right?
Yeah, I've seen them all.
Yeah. I don't know if I've seen every one, but I know I've definitely seen the first two, I'm pretty sure. And I really, really enjoyed them. And there's a couple other movies that are kind of like, they're not called the Cube, but they're basically fucking the Cube and shit. They're just like a Cube knockoff. But for those who maybe have not seen the Cube, basically, the premise, at least of this, is a bunch of strangers sign up for this escape room game that if you can escape, you can win $1 million. And I think in the trailer they said it was the Minos Corporation or company or some such shit like that. That sound right?
First red flag.
What's that?
Company. This is some company shit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. Because, I mean, in real life, you know, and I guess I should explain, too, if no one's ever played in an actual real-life escape room game, they're basically kind of like what you would play in, like, PC games and Flash games and shit, where, you know, you go into the room, there's some kind of premise, and you know, the game is based around, like, a theme of some kind, and you have to find clues, figure out puzzles, combinations to locks and shit like that, and put different things together to try and get out of the room. It's just basically the whole point of the game. And it's just kind of like using your, you know, deduction, you know, skills and sometimes mathematics and different things like that to try and get out. And basically these people sign up for this escape the room game, and if you get out, you win $1 million. The cast, from what I can see, looks like a bunch of no-names. Like, I don't recognize anybody in the trailer except one person. It's the redheaded girl. She is in the Daredevil series on Netflix, and I think she was in like True Blood or some such shit like that. I never watched it, but I looking up, trying to like research her or something. I think she was in or Vampire Diaries, one of those fucking, knockoff Interview with the Vampire TV shows. But I am intrigued by the premise because from what they show in the trailer, it's like an escape room game on crack where basically you could die in the room if you don't figure out how to get out. They kind of establish that, or at least they hint at, that each of the participants have some kind of sordid past, and they were chosen for a reason to be the group that had to interact with each other in this room. I'm not sure.
It's basically the same thing as like everybody who was ever in any of the Saw films are all connected in one
yes,
way or another.
Thank
Same
you.
thing from Cube, they're all connected in one way or another. But the whole premise being that if you can escape this room, now the only reason I think they're really capitalizing on this trend is because it's something everybody will be somewhat familiar with. If they have not done them, they're used to doing them. But at the end, it's simply a new plot device or the term people recognize. There's a lot of films already that kind of had this sort of premise in it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't make it any less of an eye opener. Like, I want to see this. I didn't even need to see the trailer. When you told me there was a trailer, I wanted to see this.
Oh yeah.
Now you mentioned that you only recognized one woman,
mm-hmm.
But you're not 100% sure where she came from.
I know she's in Daredevil, but I don't know. Is she some other vampire show? But I'm just not sure which one.
Okay. Because I actually only recognized one person on that cast, too, and it's not her.
Oh,
it was the guy with the glasses. His name is Nick Dodani. He was also on a Netflix show called Atypical. Really good show. If you've not seen it, I suggest you do. But he also plays like the social media guru engineer guy on the new Murphy Brown series. So he is not only on Netflix, but he's also on network television now.
Okay.
So as far as I'm aware of, he's like, for still a guy that doesn't have like a big name, he's one of the leads, just for lack of name recognition with the rest of the cast.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, see, I didn't know that. I guess too, and like I said, with them, like you said, it's kind of, and that's a very good comparison. Like I was trying to think of something to compare it to. Yeah, it's kind of like the Saw movies, where even in those, it's like you have to figure out how to get through this trap or death trap of some kind to survive to the next thing, and then you'll get to go home. So yeah, it's basically Saw meets Cube, or just basically another Saw movie, pretty much, just minus Jigsaw and all that bullshit.
And now that actually reminds me too. You probably don't watch, or you don't watch a lot of like foreign films, do you?
Not really. Somewhat, but not really. No.
I mean, if you do, it's probably like what, subtitled anime or something.
Pretty damn much, yeah.
Because I'm not saying that as if I watch a lot or I'm very cultured, but it reminded me of a film I had seen on IFC probably a decade ago called Fermat's Room. It's a Spanish film. It's basically in the same vein as an escape room or Saw, where these mathematicians had to solve problems. And I wish I could explain it in more detail than that, but if you're not opposed to watching foreign films and you're kind of into math and numbers like I am, definitely check out, I may be mispronouncing this name, so please don't jump down my case, anybody who may be listening if I mispronounce this. I'm an ignorant American. But I think it's called Fermat's Room.
Okay.
I wish I could spell it for you.
Okay.
Because I can't. But that's definitely something. Matter of fact, if I can find that online somewhere, you and I should watch that.
Yeah, no, if you think I'll like it, we can review it.
Okay, well, just because when you told me about the trailer, it got me thinking. I'm like, oh, then Cube, Saw, then I just, for whatever reason, this just popped in out of the back of my head because it's something I saw once, and apparently it left enough of a mark in my mind that even though I'm only kind of pulling out vague details, like, I would totally watch it again.
Yeah, no, we can definitely look into that one. With this though, I mean, I have high hopes because it does look intriguing, and like the puzzles and the kind of the traps that are in the room look really interesting. I like how, they fuck with the thermostat thing. And he's like, oh, it looks like an oven dial, and then like the whole room starts to heat up and shit. And so it kind of puts like a timer on them for each room. Like you only have X amount of time to get through this, because like in most escape the room games I've played, like on PC and stuff, you pretty much have a indefinite amount of time to do whatever you want to do and figure it out. But in real life escape the room games, you have a set timer for how long it's going to take you to get out of there, and you get some kind of wall of fame to horse shit or whatever if you get out in time. All that being aside, I like the twist of, if you don't do this within X amount of time, the room is going to kill you. It starts off mundane and it seems innocuous enough, but there's something in the course of the game that will set in motion things that are going to force you to get out of the room faster, or you won't live.
You've never played the Nonary games, have you?
No.
Man, I gotta hook you up with my Steam library so you can play those games. I think you would. Not only is the whole like plot based upon escape rooms, but there's actually a narrative to it in multiple endings. I think it's something you could totally get yourself into.
See, I would like that.
Shout out Q. I don't know if she's ever going to listen to this, but she's the one that hooked me up with those games. So shout out to Q.
I'm trying to think. I am interested to see, because they do show a few flashes of the characters like fighting with each other. And I mean, in any of these movies where it's like you don't know what's going on and you have a set amount of time and something's going to kill you, eventually the characters, and it's kind of like you get the sense of claustrophobia going on, eventually the characters do start to turn on each other. So that's kind of a common trope for these types of movies, but I'm curious as to what the setup is for why, or whatever the gimmick is for this particular movie, of why they were chosen and what kind of dark shit in their past they got going on, and what they're trying to achieve by doing this. I mean, obviously they want the $1 million, but they were selected specifically because I'm assuming the corporation wanted these certain personality types, or these certain people who have had maybe some kind of tragedy in their past or something like that, to have to meet with each other and interact with each other and trying to work as a team to get out of this, or possibly just to see the conflict that'll come out of these different personality types and people who have these different backgrounds, or maybe even similar backgrounds, and we just don't know yet.
Yeah. What is that common connection, and is it going to be enough to justify what this company or this individual just portraying an LLC is doing?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because looking at the like, they go inside what is presumably just a building, but have you seen the Belko Experiment yet?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Okay, that movie has only been out for a little over a year.
Mm.
It was very reminiscent of the Belko Experiment. I don't really want to spoil it for you, but it just reminded me of like the beginning of that film, and I can't really delve more into it without spoiling anything.
Okay.
But that's kind of like why I said, like, the first red flag was that this was some kind of company.
Yeah, it's like if you're in a movie and any kind of company is trying to give you a prize to do some, borderline, you don't really know what's happening shit. If you're in a movie, it's probably a bad thing.
If you're dealing with a corporation or an empire, bad shit happens. That's just how it goes.
Pretty much. Yeah, but I'm interested to see this. I'm looking forward to just finding out like what the traps are going to be, because honestly, usually when they make these kind of movies, you get a lot of no-name actors. Not necessarily because bigger actors wouldn't want to do something like this. I mean, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. But the star of the movie is the rooms and the traps and shit, and just trying to see how they're going to overcome that. The characters are kind of just kind of like what we talked about with the Jason movies when we did Friday the 13th Part 7. They're just kind of fodder. They're just there to, give the room something to kill. It's like, yes, you want to figure out why they are connected to this, that, and the other, but for the most part, the room is the star of the movie. So I'm really interested to see what the traps are and what they have to do to get out of these rooms and shit like that.
Well, it was so weird because the one was like, I guess the one they begin in was pretty much like an oven. And then they wind up in some place that looks like it's outside in the winter.
Yeah. It was like a cabin in the woods and shit.
Like, how much money is put into this damn experiment? The winner's only going to get $1 million. Like, what are they going to gain?
They spent well over $1 million making this shit. Yeah.
Like, what the fuck?
That's a good question. You know, that's a good question. Now that you bring that up, that's going to kind of bug me when I'm watching the movie. Like, okay, y'all put more money into this game than what the prize is. Like, what exactly is this trying to achieve? You know, and especially if they're killing the participants, it's like, well, this isn't like televised or something. So it's like, it almost feels like by the end, the twist is going to be like, oh, you know, the guy who runs the company, you know, knew these people or they wronged him somehow. And this is his revenge or some shit, like some, I know what you did last summer type shit.
Yeah. Like what are the motivations? I mean, it's reminiscent of like 13 Ghosts.
Yeah.
Or what was that? I got another horror movie in my head. These kids go up to a cabin and like these monsters are slowly being released and nobody knows that.
Oh, Cabin in the Woods.
Underground. Cabin in the Woods. Yeah, it's like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, what the
yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Like, what is... Perhaps I'm already way too cynical because I've seen too many things like this.
Fair.
And I'm trying... it sounds almost like I'm talking myself out of not seeing the movie.
Right. You're gonna be like, never mind.
I gotta stop before I tell myself not to do this, because I do want to see the film, mainly because yes, escape room. I'm hoping it's not more than just a cheap gimmick for a shit horror film.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, it looks like they put a decent amount of money behind it. Like the production looks pretty good. So, like you said, as long as they have a decent enough story, I can go with it. Like, I'm just worried it's going to be like a B movie with a lot of polish on it, but we'll see. Hey, this one's coming out. Does this come out this year? I didn't catch, and you know, my crack research team, I was fucking up this week. I didn't think to look up when this was coming out.
No, it's coming out in January.
Oh, okay. All right, it's not too bad.
So at the new year.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, save all the extra Christmas money or take back all the gifts you get and don't want for Christmas and go see Escape Room.
There you go.
There you go. Take that gift card to AMC or whatever theater you got.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And go buy the one ticket and blow the rest on candy because fuck, that's expensive.
I know, right? All right. So, moving on. Now, for this next story, this has kind of been, I don't necessarily want to say a recurring thing because I haven't heard anything about this for quite a few years now. But as you know, most of you guys in the gaming community know, Red Dead Redemption 2 is soon going to be upon us, and there has been this controversy about the Rockstar CEO made some controversial comments about the crunch time, you know, which for those who may not, you know the whole like inside baseball shit about game development and shit. The crunch time is basically a window of time right before the deadline for a release of a new title, and basically everyone is just worked to fucking death up until that point to try and make sure that any kind of bugs are worked out, any kind of QA testing, any kind of, finishing touches, basically, pretty much, so the game can come out on time and ready. And which it's actually kind of a joke because how many games come out broken and needing a patch on the first day? It's like, why even have the crunch time in the first place? But we're gonna talk about mismanagement of time and shit like that a little bit later. But just to give you the guys the information dump. So what happened? I am getting this from BusinessInsider.com, so you know it's legit. It says, in an interview with New York Magazine's Vulture last week, Rockstar's co-founder Dan Houser praised staff members for working multiple 100-hour weeks to finish the game. invoking a fierce backlash from fellow game developers who accused the company of abusing its employees. They go on to say, in an effort to quell the most recent criticism of the studio, Hauser released a follow-up statement to attempt to clarify. Hauser told Kotaku he was only referring to the senior writing team of Red Dead Redemption 2, which consists of 4 people, including himself. While Red Dead Redemption 2 has been in production for 7 years, Hauser said the team spent 3 intensive weeks trying to finish the process. He said that other members of the game's development team also chose to commit extra time, but that no one was forced to work long hours. Part of Hauser's statement to Kotaku reads, across the whole company, we have some senior people who work very hard purely because they're passionate about a project or their particular work. And we believe that passion shows in the games we release. But that additional effort is a choice, and we don't ask or expect anyone to work anything like this. They go on to say, overworking staff, sometimes called crunch culture, is an ongoing problem for video game studios and the tech industry at large. Rockstar is best known for the massively successful Grand Theft Auto series, and the company has come under fire for similar tactics in the past. Now, this is what I was talking about in the beginning about how this is something that's come up before a few years ago, but you haven't really heard much about it. Just specifically with Rockstar, not the gaming industry in general, because this is kind of like an ongoing thing every fucking time a new game comes out, but Rockstar particularly. It said in 2010, just months after the release of the original Red Dead Redemption, a group of Rockstar employees' spouses published an open letter calling attention to abusive work practices at Rockstar San Diego. The group accused management of withholding bonuses and pushing employees to the brink. They go on to say that workers throughout the video game industry have been vocal about crunch culture and predatory studio practices in recent weeks. Developers have shared horror stories about studios taking advantage of their personal passion for an upcoming game to justify reckless work schedules. The issue goes beyond video games. The tech industry as a whole has long been critiqued for pushing employees to the brink. Tech firms like Apple, Lyft, and Uber have all at some point espoused the virtues of being a workaholic, and founders like Tesla's CEO Elon Musk have been lauded for sleeping at work overnight. So, with everything that we just went over, what are your immediate thoughts about crunch culture, Rockstar in particular, just any of the above?
My immediate thoughts is that we don't have the same culture here in America that they have over in Japan. And if you work a 9-to-5, 40-hour-a-week job, let's put it this way. They can say overtime's not mandatory, but you will be punished down the line if you don't work overtime. And we live in a very, very vulturistic culture where you're not going to be judged by what you do when you have to be there, by what you do above and beyond. Mm-hmm. And this can hurt you mentally, emotionally, hurt your relationships. And there's already been plenty of studies out there that once you work so hard or so long, not only do you lose productivity, but you're bound to actually ruin what you were working on because you're just not as viable of a component in production.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When they say overtime is not mandatory, I'm like, bullshit.
Oh yeah.
You know damn well it's very, very cutthroat in the tech industry, whether it's game development, programming, coding, whatever. Mm-hmm. These people working, let's be real. Some of them probably do have a passion. Some of them probably do enjoy what they're doing. But after a while, you're eating away at yourself. And when these companies, who is it? Like the higher-ups, the presidents, the board members, the promotional, who decides when these games are going to be set for release? And is there really that correspondence between the team actually putting this together, or are there just arbitrary time frames in which all these people are expected to work, therefore there's more pressure on them to stay over the clock?
Right. Now, see, I don't want to claim to have any kind of inside information. I don't know anyone who's in the gaming industry or tech industry or anything like that. But just from my own personal experience, just working in general, I find that what the problem becomes is that it's an issue of multiple things, but one of the crux issues is that it's bad time management by upper management. Like, okay, like let's just say, and I actually heard a story kind of similar to this. The guys at Derek and Frank at Work Life and Balance talked about this, something similar to this, about a week ago on their most recent episode, I think. But they had talked about how because I believe Derek, yeah, like he's like a software engineer, and talked about how they'll take a job for a client and they've been paid up front, and the team lead on that project will just kind of dick around and not bring up deadlines or not do what needs to be done in a efficient manner to make sure that they meet that deadline. So then they get to that crunch window where it's like, oh shit, this project needs to be done in the next week and a half, and we had 3 months to work on this project and we kind of fucked off until this last thing. So now you have to hurry up and try and push to try and get it done on time, or you have to then go to the client and ask for extensions and shit, and then make up reasons for why you couldn't get it done in the time frame that was allotted to you in the first place. A lot of these video game companies, especially companies that are making, AAA titles, they start working on these games like years before it comes out. It's not like they started making Red Dead Redemption 2 like last week or something. Like, they've been working on this game for the last 7 years. So the fact that there is any point in that process of time where it's like, oh shit, we got to knuckle down to make sure this gets done, it's like, that's just poor time management. And that's the fault of whoever the lead, creative officer or whoever on the team. That is on them, because your management of your time and resources and what you need to get done, that is all your responsibility as the leader of the team. You cannot, it's not only unethical, but it's unprofessional to ask your people, who most of these devs are on salary, so they're not getting paid jack shit more to work overtime. Yeah, you might get a bonus if the game releases on time and there's not a lot of bugs and shit, but for all that extra work that they have to put in during that crunch window, they don't get shit for that. And it sucks, because a lot of these people will kind of work themselves to the bone and then turn around and look at what happened to, who did we just talk about a couple weeks ago? Game studio that closed down. Telltale.
Oh, Telltale.
Yeah, and just get laid off and just lose your fucking job. So it's like you put in all this extra time, you get no compensation for it, and there is no security in your job because you might get laid off. Or, like you said, if you stand up for yourself and say, you know what, I'm not going to stay over, I'm not going to, work extra hours and, give up my free time to dedicate my life to this, then they will just replace you with the next coder or developer who will do it. It's like you said, it's not expected, but it's kind of this unspoken rule of, if you don't do it, we'll just find somebody else who will do it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't even matter really what line of work you're in. There's a lot of people who will tell you right up, while it's never been explicitly stated that you must do something for, you don't want to or you don't legally have to, by not doing it, you end up getting the shit end of the stick. And it's even more scrutinizing when you're in the tech industry. That's why I feel bad for all these guys. Because, I mean, Red Dead Redemption, when the first game came out back in, 2000, I don't remember.
10 or 11,
10 years
something
ago.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, 10 years ago. I assume when they decided, okay, this was a good game, it went over well, we want to make a sequel to it, they probably tried to pick up as many of the same team members as did the first. Hell, most of them might be. I don't even know all the specifics with the people. But you would assume that if they wanted to make the sequel, or when they, said, all right, we're going to do this, we're going to get the money for it, they'd have at least a lot of the same people working in the same positions. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if your team, I'm assuming the team is pretty similar. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about that because I haven't done enough research on it. But if the team was the same or similar or had the same talent or skills, it's like you would know as whomever is getting the money for this project to allocate it and dedicate time. You would know where to put the money, where to put the time. So if for whatever reason, all of a sudden everybody's starting to complain or word's getting out there that everybody's working way too hard, then it's probably a matter of, like you said, time management or just management overall. Like, who's the head of all this? Because at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones to blame.
Mm-hmm.
Because either A, you have a team that really is slacking off and not doing anything, which shows that you have no leadership qualities, or B, you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Exactly.
And so when shit starts to hit the fan, you're blaming everybody beneath you because you know it doesn't matter what business you're in, the higher ups, whenever anything goes to shit, it's always the lowest common denominator. It's always the grunt on the floor doing the manual labor that gets the shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's our fault. It's the grunt's fault. It's their fault. No, it's not. It's whoever's overhead. It's whoever's the one with the oversight. Whoever's the one putting together these timelines they know they can't hit. Whoever's not making sure the people beneath them are doing their jobs.
No, I absolutely agree. And I find it interesting the guy, the co-founder, Dan Houser, you know, how he clarifies, like, oh, no. I'm not saying that the whole team did this and not for like the whole duration of the development of the game. I'm just saying like a select few people did it. And it was only over the course of a few weeks or a few months. And my immediate first thought is, yeah, you may be saying, oh, we would never ask our employees to do this, that, and the other, and this was just like for a small window of time. It's like, yeah, but what was it like before this? Because if you think about it, if these people have been in the industry for a while and have been developing games for a while, I'm sure that there was a time where this crunch culture was just like a 24/7, you know, day in, day out thing. And over time, they learned, hey, I'm burning my people out, you know, because even if someone is passionate about what they do and they want to give that extra time and shit, it is your responsibility as a manager to go like, hey, look, you've been here for like the last 3 days straight, you know, till 3, 4 a.m. You had a 9 a.m. shift. Like, you have to go home. Like, I'm, you know, it's, I can't, you know, legally make you stay, but I can make you go. Like, you need to go home. Because even if you're doing this, not even expecting, if you're doing this after work hours and you know you're not getting paid for it, there comes a tipping point for any human being to where it's like you said, your productivity is going to start to go down. Your focus is going to start to go down, especially when you're going on lack of sleep and, you know, food and stuff like that. It's like you're not being as effective as you may think you're being by staying extra. And you are putting yourself in a position to where you will burn yourself out faster and not be a viable resource for the rest of the team, because it's like, hey, you know, such and such, they pulled an all-nighter, like, he's going to be dead to us for the rest of tomorrow, like, so don't even bother trying to get him to do and work on whatever. You know, it's like there comes a point where it's not just about managing time, but managing people and managing what they, even not so much what they can do, but what they're willing to do. It's like, yeah, I know you may want to do this, but I need to think about the long term. Like, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like, yeah, you might get all this shit done now, but you're going to be useless to me down the road because, hell, you might just drop out of the, you know, game developing industry altogether because, you know, of what your experience were in the past. Did I cut out? Okay. What was the last thing you heard?
You were just kind of going off.
Okay, well, my only concern is that, you know, I don't necessarily, you know, because I firmly believe in unions, and I don't ever think that it's going to get to a point where the tech and gaming industry is ever going to be able to unionize, like, say, the automobile industry has unionized. But there needs to be someone at some level that is actually being forward thinking and saying, hey, we need to make sure that the people, our developers, the people who are working for us will want to continue to work for us, and we're taking care of them. I mean, but as long as there's this giant pool of people to pick from, the corporations aren't going to give a fuck. They're just going to move on to the next guy, next new fresh face. It doesn't matter how much experience you have, how much you've done for the company. You know, the shareholders and shit like that, they want a number, and they could give a shit how they get to that point. So you're very expendable, and it just sucks.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, we could talk about just how the economy as a whole has focused more of its power and authority on businesses over people, but that's for another time. Let's just say, as it pertains to games, we need more Activisions.
Yeah.
We need more Activisions, less Ataris.
Yeah. But any final thoughts on this before we jump off?
Any final thoughts? If you get paid salary for 40 or 50 hours a week, you work the 40 or 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. No company, despite the fact they pay you, no company owns you as an individual.
No, I agree. That's absolutely right. Because, and it's hard because, yes, you can. Some would try and make the argument like, oh, well, if you're salaried, do you have to do it, or you're expected to do it? It's like, yeah, but there still comes a threshold where it's like, okay, you know, you're going beyond the reasonable requests that anyone would have for a single human being to invest their time and effort into any one project or any job or career or anything else. There has to be a balance. Like, you know, if not, like I said, you're just going to get burnt out, and all they're going to do is replace you anyway. So be careful, I guess, to what line of work that you end up going into. But anywho, moving on. It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right. Dumb Shit of the Week is a show where you submit your findings of dumb shit, and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap, 4 Geeks, or you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host, me. I know, right? Yeah, DJ Melonel couldn't be here, so we're going to be flying solo on this one. But the theme that I came up with for Dumb Shit of the Week for this week, we're staying in the Halloween theme stuff because it is still October. And so the one I picked was worst killer motivations. Now, what I mean by this is any genre of movie, it doesn't even have to be a horror movie per se, but just anytime you watch a movie and there is a villain who is trying to kill the protagonist because of something that doesn't make sense. Now, the one that I chose in particular for this topic was the Scream movies. When I made this, I put out a tweet asking for people's submissions, and I made a meme of the killer from Scream, and I said, I don't always kill my best friends and girlfriend, but when I do, it's because I love me some horror movies. Oh, and my dad cheated with your mom or whatever. And basically, I thought, I am not, and this is not to be a shot at the Scream movies. I do enjoy them, most of them. The first two are pretty good. The ones after that, not so much. But the premise was good. I liked that they played on and subverted the tropes of horror movies and pointed those out and kind of made fun of how ridiculous they can be. But at the same time, I did not like the motivation of the killer in the original movie, nor any of the coinciding movies after that. Now, if you've never seen Scream before, or if it's been a long time and you don't remember the Scream movies, basically in the first film, it's revealed by the end that there are two killers. It is, who was it, Neve Campbell?
No, she was the survivor.
No. I'm just saying she's the girlfriend, right? Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Neve Campbell's boyfriend and his best friend, and
it was
basically
Matthew Lillard.
Lillard, yeah,
the dude who looks like a poor man's Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he's He plays Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies. The boyfriend basically wants to kill Nev Campbell's character and the friends and shit because Nev Campbell's mother cheats with his father and it destroys their marriage and this, that, and the other, and somebody gets killed in the process. It's this whole thing. I think he kills her mom, I believe, because she's cheating with his dad or whatever, and it turns into this whole thing where they pose as, one killer, the two of them, and they go about killing their friends and playing these games about what's your favorite scary movie and all this shit. And it's just like, why would you do all that? Because your dad had an affair. Like, is it really that serious? Like the whole time I'm watching the ending and watching it unfold and them explain what's happening. I'm like, that shit's fucking stupid. I'm like, that is, and it was made by Wes Craven too, who did the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, which are classic, just good horror movies. And I'm like, I would expect more from, cult classic filmmaker than this kind of paper thin excuse for why you would do all this kind of shit. Like Matthew Lillard, he just seems like he just wanted an excuse to kill people. but the boyfriend, I just never understood why he's doing that. That was mine, and that was my pick for the dumb shit of the week. The other one that we got is coming from Super Movie Bros, and they are at Super Movie Pod on Twitter. They said Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. A cult creates Halloween masks with microchips, quote unquote, inside of them. Those microchips are made with pieces of Stonehenge. They are activated by a TV commercial that attacks kids wearing them because weird cults are going to do weird cult things. That whole thing, I was just like, oh my God. Now, have you ever seen Halloween 3?
Probably seen bits and pieces of it. I've seen a lot of chunks of all these films, but never really paid attention to them. Okay.
I've only seen Halloween 3 once, and I refuse to go back and watch it again. I saw it when I was younger, but I refuse to watch it again because Michael Myers is not in that movie. And, because I guess originally when, John Carpenter made the Halloween movie, he wanted it to be what's the word I'm trying to think of? Basically where it's like a different, movie each time, but it's still under the same title, the same umbrella. God damn it. I am totally blanking on the word for it. It's not a montage. It's not like, anyway.
You thinking like a noir?
No. Kind of basically like what the Twilight Zone is or Black Mirror, where like it's the show.
It's not a serial, but it's okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's like just different. It's a different story each time. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, like the old Love Boat.
Exactly. And so he didn't want Michael Myers to be the killer in every movie. They just, when the first movie became so popular, when they made the sequel, they're like, hey, we want Michael Myers to come back. He begrudgingly did it, and then they kill him off by the end of the second movie. And then Halloween 3 was supposed to start the new, story for the Halloween series. And that didn't really go over well. People didn't like it as much. And so by Halloween 4, they go back to Michael Myers again. But yeah, no, basically, yeah, I didn't really remember the premise because, like I said, I only had seen it once. But from what he explained, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Like the masks were like killing the kids and shit. And that's just so stupid. It's like, so why are we making masks? Like, if you just want to kill kids, just kill kids. Like, I mean, this sounds terrible. But I'm like, you don't need to like go through this convoluted ass. We're going to put microchips inside the mask that are made from pieces of Stonehenge of all fucking things. And I'm just like, I don't think y'all understand how technology works. I don't think you can put a rock inside a microchip and it still works. Like, I don't think that works that way. I mean, I'm no tech person per se, but I got a sneaking suspicion that would, rocks do not conduct electricity well. I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure you cannot take Pikachu up against. Well, no, Geodude flies, so maybe.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even going to start talking about Pokemon because somebody will just slap me upside the back of the head for that.
The next one that we have is by Switch the Envelope, at Switch Envelope on Twitter. They said, and I kind of add a little bit to this because you can't see it, so I had to kind of explain. But Snow White, the queen, for not enough likes on her Mirrorstagram. Now, I like cracked up laughing at this because I was like, oh my god, I would have never even thought of Snow White as like because it kind of is a horror movie, because basically the queen, the witch or whatever you want to call her, she has the mirror, her magic mirror, the mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all, and for the most part it always tells her that she is the fairest of them all. Then one day it tells her that she is not the fairest, so she then decides to kill the prettiest girl in the village because she's not the prettiest anymore. And I'm like, god damn, that's some jaded ass, just some dumb, like, single white female type shit. Like, okay. Like, like, if, I guess, I don't know if you saw that movie with Charlize Theron where the Snow White, like, remake or whatever, where they tried to make it like an action movie, and it had, like, the chick who played Bella and, like, the Twilight movies. Yeah, Chris Hemsworth in it and all this shit. But they try to make this whole thing about how she is part of some, like, royal lineage, and it's not just about her not being the prettiest, but she had to kill her in order to maintain her rightful place on the throne. It was this whole just dumb fucking thing. Like, I don't know. I think Snow White is based off of some kind of mythology, because a lot of the older Disney movies are just, they're basically just stealing public domain stories and trying to copyright them into their own thing, like Pinocchio and Beauty and the Beast and all that shit. Like, those are not original stories, that Disney came up with. Those were just, mythology that was just in the public domain that they just took and just tried to copyright and make their own thing with it. But Snow White, I believe, is one of those as well. And yeah, that whole thing about her wanting to kill the girl because she wasn't as pretty as she was, that's pretty fucked up. It's like, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, chicks get, jealous and want to fight chicks about how pretty they are or how pretty they think they are and all this other shit. But I'm just like, god damn, you just want to kill that goddamn girl.
You think Mean Girls would have been a better film if there was murder?
Oh, shit, yeah. Or if they had a talking mirror in it, for sure, yeah. Poor Lindsay Lohan. Now, Benoit, you have one as well, too.
Well, yes and no. Well, I mean, you mentioned Scream, and a couple months ago when I was at the barber, he had Scream 2, or not 2, the fourth one.
Oh, wow.
I've only seen part of that film.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one part I remember. The girl who wound up being the killer was just, like, running headfirst repeatedly, like, into a mirror or something. All I know is I walked up when my roommate was watching that, and I busted a gut laughing because that was so fucking hilarious. But, on the motivations, like, I can't think of, like, anything specifically derived within a horror film as a motivation, but it reminds me a little bit of probably one of my favorite movies, Heathers. Have you ever seen Heathers?
Give me the synopsis.
Christian Slater basically kills a bunch of, like, uppity bitches simply for being cunts.
No, I've definitely not seen that.
Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. It's a late 80s, like, teenage dark comedy. I fucking love it. Yeah, that's basically the plot, though. He kills a bunch of girls for being cunts.
Oh, okay, so it was like American Psycho before American Psycho.
No, well, American Psycho was more of a deranged man. That's not to say his character wasn't deranged, but they don't really fall under the same genre. I guess there are some similarities, except instead of him being like his own psychotic yuppie, he's more of a kind of loner greaser type in a suburbanite high school.
Okay.
Another movie. It's going to be a B film. Have you ever seen God Bless America?
Nope. Mm-mm.
If you like the film Falling Down, I highly suggest you watch God Bless America. That shit had me laughing. It stars one of Bill Murray's 28 brothers, who it's somewhat in the same vein as Falling Down, except it's taken at more of a dark humor, dark comedy spin to it, where basically he just gets upset and kills some people that annoy him.
Okay.
And without getting too deep into it, that's basically the premise. So yeah, I mean, well, I wouldn't justify the killings in either that film or Heathers.
Sure.
It's like, if you've ever just been so annoyed by something that you couldn't, and I ended that sentence with "you couldn't," then these would definitely be two films for you that may kind of fall under the dumb motivations for killing people.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Because we're talking like horror, scary shit for Halloween, and here I'm getting my fucking rocks off at murder and dark comedies. But yeah, if you haven't seen either film, or if anybody listens to this and have not seen God Bless America or Heathers, Benoit highly recommends them. And I said that in the third person.
Oh, I finally figured out that word that I was trying to use to describe like a series of movies with different antagonists and protagonists that are still under the same umbrella. An anthology series. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm like, I knew it would come to me. It would just be like on some random thing you would say, and it would just make it click. And I'm like, yeah, that anthology. That's what I was trying to say before. We have one more coming up next week for Dumb Shit of the Week, for the end of October. And because I believe our last episode of this month is going to come out on Halloween. Yes, yeah, it's going to be on Halloween. So, we're going to make that one the dumbest horror movie in general. Or just bad horror movie. I'm gonna make a stipulation for it though. It has to be a mainstream horror movie. So don't come bringing some B movie, that was never released in theaters that only 8 people have seen, including you and your 3 friends. Like, it's got to be something mainstream enough to where it had a wide release and enough people saw it to make it something that would be in pop culture for the most part that most people would recognize. So yeah, I'm giving you a head start this week. Kids, if you want to participate in Dumb Shit of the Week, next week will be the worst mainstream horror movie that you've seen. But that's going to be it for Dumb Shit of the Week for this week. So remember, Dumb Shit of the Week is your show. So send in your submissions. Every week we'll compile them, read them, and shout you out for sending it. So keep them coming. You can send it to us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, or you can email it to us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. So apparently Discord is just going to be working against me tonight. It's okay though. You still got me here. So, unfortunately, yeah, Discord is just completely shit the bed, so we lost Benoit for the remainder. But it's all good. Still got Widow me to sit here and soothe you into a, something. Anyway, but our next story is going to be like Netflix and them just canceling every goddamn thing. So, I want to know just how is it that Luke Cage got canceled, but The Ranch of all fucking things is still going on. Now, The Ranch is that show with Ashton Kutcher and the one stoner guy that he brought over from That 70s Show, who apparently has some kind of sexual misconduct allegations brought up against him, so now he's not on the show either. That is still a thing apparently, but not Luke Cage or Iron Fist. Netflix, it's funny because they used to be known for not canceling shit, And now they are just like cleaning house, like top to bottom. I expected Iron Fist to get the axe, maybe even Jessica Jones, but not Luke Cage. When Luke Cage came out, it was a whole thing about how it broke Netflix because so many people tuned in on that first day when it was released, and they get a second season and now they're canceled. And it's just like, how do you go from being the, hottest thing on Netflix when it first comes out to one season later, the show is just canceled completely? Now, I don't know if this is some kind of shot at Disney because they're doing their streaming service and they're not going to be putting any more Disney content on Netflix anymore, and this is just a way to kind of undercut them or what, but it's odd to me that you would announce a cancellation of a show, a Marvel show, during the premiere of another Marvel show, Daredevil Season 3, and just give it that, just kind of take the wind out of the sails of Daredevil, because it's like, basically you're signaling to fans like, hey, we're probably not going to keep doing this Marvel Netflix shit. We're going to be getting rid of it, which is a shame because the Defenders was not a good show. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't very good. Iron Fist is just shit. The Punisher, it's not that great, at least in my eyes. But at least Daredevil, Luke Cage, and for the most part, Jessica Jones were good shows. So I'm just surprised that they are just kind of just throwing them all to the dumpster right now. I mean, who knows? I mean, hell, in a week they might cancel Daredevil. Who the fuck knows? But it's just interesting. Like I said, Netflix used to be the place you can go where it's like, hey, if you want to make sure that you have a show for a long duration of time, go over to Netflix and you can stay on there forever. But now some of these that I'm going to talk about were not canceled, recently. Some have been, the cancellation announcement was a few months ago, but this is just some of all the shows that Netflix has canceled this year alone. So, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. A woman is rescued from a doomsday cult and starts life over again in New York City. After being rescued from an underground bunker in which she lived the past 15 years, Kimmy Schmidt decides to move to New York to have a normal life. It's a comedy. It was really fucking funny. The first season is goddamn hilarious. The second season is pretty funny, and now it's just gone. Obviously, Iron Fist. A young man is bestowed with the incredible martial arts skills and a mystical force known as the Iron Fist. Danny Rand returns to New York City after being presumed dead for 15 years to reclaim his family company from Harold Meacham and his children Ward Meacham and Joy Meacham. They're both 15 years gone. I wonder. Oh, see, that's what y'all should have did. Y'all could have revitalized both of these shows at the same time. Y'all should have had a Kimmy Schmidt Iron Fist crossover. There you go. Boom. They're both in New York. Come on, man. The shit writes itself. And obviously another one, Luke Cage. When a sabotage experiment gives him super strength and unbreakable skin, Luke Cage becomes a fugitive attempting to rebuild his life in Harlem and must soon confront his past and fight a battle for the heart of his city. Like I said, I'm just shocked that they would cancel Luke Cage after the reception that it got during his first season. I don't know how people reacted to the second season. I know I did enjoy it. I definitely enjoyed the second season of Luke Cage much more than I did the second half of season 1. But I don't know. Maybe the viewership just wasn't there this time. Who knows? Sense8 is another one. The story of Sense8 begins when the psychic connection of 8 strangers from different cultures and parts of the world is birthed by a woman called Angelica, who kills herself to avoid capture by a man named Whispers. Now, Sense8 was a interesting show because I always had a feeling that they were going to cancel Sense8 just because it always seemed that the production budget was way too high on it to be a series on Netflix or really any network, because they do a lot of globetrotting in that show. Now, granted, some of the locations I'm sure are probably sets and stuff like that, and they're not necessarily going to all these locations, but I always thought that show was spending way too much money on globetrotting and not having the story to really bring in viewers like they may have thought that they could or would. Who knows? Another one we got is House of Cards. Set in present-day Washington, D.C., House of Cards is a story of Frank Underwood, Kevin Spacey, a Democrat from South Carolina's 5th Congressional District and the House Majority Whip, who, after getting passed over for appointment as Secretary of State, decides to exact his revenge on those who betrayed him. Now, everything I've ever heard about House of Cards is that it's a really, 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 really good show. I have not had the pleasure of seeing House of Cards, but they are canceling the show basically because of the whole sexual assault scandal behind Kevin Spacey. He was fired from the show. They are finishing up the last season without him, but yeah, they're not renewing it anymore after this. That's just some, and I mean, there's like a couple dozen more shows that Netflix has canceled this year. Yeah, I don't know if because Netflix is notorious for not releasing its ratings numbers, so we have no idea how many people were watching this, how many people weren't, if there was some, drama behind the scenes of why they canceled the shows, or they just didn't feel that there was a justification to keep the story going. I mean, who fucking knows? It could be a multitude of reasons. It could be all those reasons. We don't know, and we may never know. But with the Marvel shows in particular, I really do feel like Netflix is just making a point to Disney and their streaming service, that it's like, hey, fuck you. We don't need your shit and we don't want your shit. Like, we're not going to let you use us to make money on our platform when you're going to turn around and pull your other content, like your Disney movies, your Marvel movies, Star Wars and shit like that from our platform. And I get it. I mean, it's business. It's cutthroat, but I get it. I get it. I just hope that Netflix doesn't end up relying on just all these cold case docuseries and sitcoms. Like, I don't want a bunch of The Ranches, and I don't want a bunch of, How to Make a Murderer. Like, I enjoy How to Make a Murderer, and I just finished up season 2. And I don't have anything against documentaries and stuff like that, but I just don't want everything on Netflix to be either some kind of comedic sitcom and or documentary about some cold cases or serial killers or some such shit like that. That's all. That's all I'm saying. That's where I'm coming from with it. I mean, who knows? They could, with Iron Fist and Luke Cage in particular, they could maybe down the road do a Heroes for Hire show, but I'm not holding my breath for that one because I have my serious doubts about whether or not we will ever see a return of Iron Fist and Luke Cage to Netflix in some capacity or another. I'm having my doubts about it. Maybe a cameo on, Jessica Jones or Daredevil, but I don't see anyone creating a new show just to adapt for these two characters, but we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Alright, kids, so I finally got DJ Melly Mel here after the fucking fiasco that I had earlier with Discord and Benoit, and we actually have a super, super special guest this week. We got DJ Melly Mel's boyfriend. Can we pick him a cool-ass nickname or some shit?
I think we should.
Yeah. It'd be like T-Money, Swizzy Swipe.
Oh. T-Money, I kind of like that.
T-Money, okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
I don't think very often. So I guess we can go with that.
We all know I'm the brains of the operation
say
here.
you do the thinking between the two of us, so yeah.
No, that's fair. So when I title this, it'd be like with special guest T-Money. Oh, who the fuck is that?
I think we had said that once before.
Yeah, we were talking about you.
You about to get like 500,000 hits because they were like, oh, they got the rapper
I
T-Money.
know, right?
Yeah, T-Money was on the mic.
Right. T-Money debuted his mixtape on One Giant Leap for Geeks last week. It was dope.
Like that's how you know his whole career has plummeted.
Right. Pretty much, yeah.
Hey, don't be dissing our show like
I
that.
know, I was gonna say, I'm like.
He's like, I'm doing little private shows.
Hell yeah. This is the Breakfast Club. Pretty much. This is the closest thing we're gonna have to it. But so we all got a chance to go see Halloween 2018. I don't want to keep calling it just Halloween because I don't want to confuse it with the original
Right.
movie, which I'm like, why? This will be the third movie that they've named Halloween. The original, Rob Zombies, and now this.
Now this one, yep.
And I'm like, y'all got to do something to switch this shit up. But this one is Halloween 2018. It was directed by David Gordon Green and co-written by Danny McBride. If you don't know who Danny McBride is, he's the dude with like the Jerry curl mullet that you always see in like comedies and shit. He was in Tropic Thunder, This Is the End, a bunch of other shit.
Oh shit! Now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. He's a comedian. He's actually really funny. So it was really interesting that he co-wrote this because I was like, I don't know.
Wasn't
man.
he the one that was on the Fat Camp movie?
Yes. So, just to give you like a little synopsis, basically, Halloween 2018 takes place after the original Halloween. Everything from Halloween 2 to I think Halloween 5 or 6, none of that shit happened. Like they erased all that timeline.
Yeah.
So
And
Halloween,
then the Rob Zombie ones didn't happen.
oh yeah, no, nobody.
Nobody
considered that
includes
bullshit
them.
happened, yeah. So this is just, it goes Halloween 1, then Halloween 2018. Basically, it's 40 years after the original movie, and it's actually in real life 40 years as well, because this came out in 78 and that was 2018.
Right.
Laurie Strode, the only survivor from the original Halloween, she is still living in Haddonfield, Illinois, and she has, like, super bad PTSD from what happened from the original movie. Like, to the point where she pretty much has, like, a panic room in her house, and she does, like, target practice in the backyard with mannequins and all this crazy shit. And Michael Myers, for the past 40 years, has been locked up in an institution. And that's where we pick up with the movie at.
Right.
If you haven't heard one of our reviews before, what we are going to do is we're going to do the first half, a non-spoiler review, and just kind of give our general thoughts and stuff like that. We're not going to go too deep into it. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, you can listen up until we give our rating and then just skip the rest and come back once you've seen the movie. Or if you don't care about having shit spoiled for you, you can just listen to the whole thing the whole way through. But
We will let you know when it's spoiler time.
it will be very obvious.
If you've never seen or heard one of our shows, then you'll know. Trust me.
Stay in for a treat.
There will be no questioning.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yep, that was it. That's the spoiler part. So just giving like general thoughts. What did you feel about the plot to this movie? Not necessarily like the exact story beats, but what was your feelings on just the setup, how they framed how the story was going to take place this time, just in general?
I thought it was kind of cool. There was a lot of homage to the original in the way that it played out, the way that the characters interacted, the way that it cut to certain scenes. I just thought it was very, very cool, very nostalgic for those of you who grew up watching these movies.
Fair. T-Money?
Yeah,
I'm gonna love just saying that. Just want to put that out there.
yeah, I was the same way. Like, I grew up watching all of the Halloween movies, you know, big horror buff and everything. So, like, I liked how they would, like, have all the little things that kind of, like she said, just went as a homage to all of how everything led up to this movie.
I agree. There was moments. This isn't really a spoiler, but there's a moment in this movie where Laurie's granddaughter is in high school, and she's sitting in the back of the classroom in that same corner where Laurie sat. And in the original Halloween, she looks out the window, and Michael is standing outside staring at her. And in this version, when she looks out, it's the grandmother, Laurie, standing out there watching her. So I like little nods to the original, and there was like little props and things like that. Like, this part's in the trailer, so this isn't really a spoiler, but Michael walks into this woman's house to steal her butcher knife, and that scene is like almost shot for shot the same scene, but it's from Halloween 2, though.
Right.
Because there's things that they do in this movie that are homages to some of the other sequels, even though the sequels don't exist in this timeline that they've created. So I was like, I like that they still acknowledge the fact that, hey, these other movies did. We're not saying that they happened, but we're not going to completely
We're not saying that
ignore
they
it.
didn't happen either.
Sure, right. Hey, we can say in an alternate universe somewhere this other bullshit happened, but just not in this movie. As far as one of my favorite things about the movie, not the story, not the kills and shit like that. One of my favorite things about this movie was the music. Like, I thought the score was, like, dope. Like, it had that, like, 80s synth, like
synthesizer type thing.
Yeah. Just to give a little context to our viewing experience for the movie. We saw it at an AMC theater, and this was probably one of the most ghetto-ass movie experiences I've had in my whole life.
Hell yeah.
There was so much so to the point where, and I never really realized this until just now, Black people love horror movies.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I never realized how much so, because I swear to God, now, the area that we were in, it's like a mix. It's not a predominantly black area, but it's like a mix.
Yeah.
But that theater was
predominantly black.
Yes, was full of black folks. And I was just like, okay, and you know, there's always like the stereotypical thing where it's like, you know, black people are in the movie theater. It's like, girl, get out! Don't do that! This and the other. And it was like that to a degree. But there was bitches in the bathroom talking about fighting some chicks. There was somebody that got drunk at some point in the theater that got either kicked out or left or something.
I think
She
they was
left
kicking her out.
willingly.
Yeah, because she was like, fuck this movie. I don't give a fuck about this movie shit.
I want my money back.
I was like, I want my money back. I was
The
like,
drunk
oh,
chick
man.
left willingly, but the security cop did come in and he asked
Took her
somebody-
friends or whoever?
Yeah, he asked
Okay.
one of her friends to leave. He come in with his arms all folded and walked to the front of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the big Barney Fife thing going on.
Right.
He was like, all right.
Hey, I need
much.
you to get out of here right
He's
now.
like, I'm gonna have to ask you guys to leave, but yeah.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind as we talk about the movie. So when the title card comes up for Halloween and like the beginning credits start, like they start playing the Halloween theme and shit. And I have heard so many freestyle raps and all this shit to like that Halloween theme before. So when it's all like ding 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 ding, and then, like the dude behind me, he was like, "Oh, that beat!" No, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "Oh, this is how the rest of the movie finna be." But that is one of the things I enjoy about going to the movies.
Yeah.
Is I like having that experience with other people. I love watching movies in general, but I like being in a group of people because I can kind of. I don't know. I feel like it adds to the experience to all watch something for the first time together.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, that's just me. Some people don't like it. I know my girlfriend, poor Amber, she was just like, I could tell she was just getting pissed off because there was a couple that was like right behind us that just would not shut the fuck up. Like, they commented on literally every fucking thing that happened in the movie. And I was just like, no. It's one thing when you're next to someone and you know them, but when it's somebody behind you and they're talking, it's just like, oh my fucking god.
Shut the fuck up!
I'm pretty sure that's how the people in front of us felt. Because
Oh, the people in front of us like completely went to the front of the whole theater. Like they just left me and Brittany.
there was two people. This lady had like one of them old lady hats on, and she was sitting right in front of me and Mike. Mm-hmm. And she was not. She was like, "God, I hope they're not going to talk to the whole movie." I'm like, lady, you might as well just go.
Oh, but with that being said, that is it kind of helped frame my attitude towards the movie because when shit would happen, like moments where the crowd should react to shit, they reacted to it well.
Right.
So I was like, okay, like, you know, I can deal with the other shit. But yeah, no, they brought John Carpenter back to do the theme again.
Yes,
so
yes,
like,
they did.
And I'm not gonna lie, since I saw the movie, I've been listening to the soundtrack to the movie. It is actually
Why does
pretty
that not
damn
surprise
dope.
me?
Like, I'm not gonna lie. The
You
soundtrack
always
to this
do that,
movie is
though.
dope. I didn't
You hear-
listen to the soundtrack for Venom. I'll tell you that.
Because you don't
bullshit.
like the soundtrack for Venom.
No, hell, and I still can't believe you made that shit my ringtone.
Yeah,
But-
but you don't ever call me, so it's alright.
Yeah, well, I'll never hear it though either,
Oh,
even
see,
if I
there you
did.
go.
But still, just the fact that I'm associated with that shit bothers me.
Oh, I'll fix it.
No, that's fine. I do like, though, that I don't want to say that they took a realistic take on it, but to a degree they did. I like that they established very early on that Michael Myers is human. Like,
Right.
he's not some demon. He's not this undead thing. He can be killed. He is a man. He's just fucking crazy. You know?
Right.
Well, yeah, because they showed him like with him aging and everything. Like he's a lot older in this one. You know,
Yes.
he might be older, but his temper got a lot worse in this one.
Yes, and you said about how he was aging.
Yeah.
I did like that they don't full on ever show Michael's face straight up, but you can tell like he's
Caught a
bald.
little angle. You know?
Yeah.
He
And
got some gray hairs going.
yeah, he looks
Looks like he's
he looked like a big ass Bruce Willis from Glass. Like was we watching the Glass trailer right before this, and I was like, oh, it's Bruce Willis. Oh, okay, that's cool.
He
ain't
got
the same-
taller. He got a little bulky.
Yeah, a little white jumpsuit on and shit. And I was like, oh, okay, all right. They but like I said, they established that Michael Myers is a man. He is not this just soup.
He's not a super shredder, okay? He's just a regular dude.
I think that's kind of why they got rid of some of the other movies from this timeline, because they start going into shit about how there was some cult that had put some kind of hex over Michael, and that's why he wanted to kill his family, and it was passing on through the genes and all this shit. And
Yeah, a couple of the movies got real
got
weird.
away.
yes. I'm like, the first one, the original Halloween, they don't really explain a whole lot in that movie, and it's all the movies after that they try to go back and be like, oh, this is why he was doing this, and this is why he was doing that. I liked that there was no rhyme or reason to why he killed people. He just killed pretty much anyone who got into his fucking path. You know, and it was almost like he was just biding his time at the psychiatric ward until he could get out and, you know, kill again.
Right.
There, we'll get to it in the spoiler portion, but there are some things that happen about 2/3 of the way into the movie. There's one thing that happens where, because I had put up a thing on Twitter asking, you know, people like how they felt about the movie and shit, which I got some interesting responses from as well. I had asked, you know, people who saw it and this, that, and the other, and like, for example, Super Movie Bros on Twitter. They had said, saw it Thursday night, thumbs up. And then someone, Bell to the Bell with Bobby Blaze. They said, I love this movie, nice callbacks, good scares, and a freaking deadly killer. And Grave Girls podcast, they said, we saw it and we really enjoyed it. Big Spookin' Pod, they said it was so good. And then I got one from, Bayek is Bayk podcast. They said in all caps, how the fuck did people think this film was good? Exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark, question mark. So awful. And somebody else had said something to the effect about how they thought that it was really bad, and if you had saw the trailer, you had saw the whole movie. Do you agree with that? Not necessarily. I don't want you to give away your rating just yet, but I mean, do you agree that the trailer spoiled the movie?
No, I don't think so.
I didn't either. Yeah.
I mean, it gave you enough to be a trailer.
Yeah, it gave you enough to like pull you in to be like, oh yeah, I want to go see that movie, but not enough to where you was like, well, they gave me all the good parts of the movie, and now I just paid $8-10 to come see this movie, and I already know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong. They do show in the trailer the scene in the bathroom in the gas station where he drops the teeth over the stall. Mm-hmm. That was cool, but it's everything that happens after that is the good part. You know, I'm like, that was just like the setup to that part. But I mean, I don't know. I didn't feel that there was anything in the trailer that ruined the movie for me. I enjoyed it. I mean,
we've seen some movies lately where we've went to the movie and it's been, okay, why did I just pay money to see this?
Exactly.
Like, what was the last one we saw that was like that?
Kind of, sort of Venom. Because they show a lot of that final fight in the trailer. Yeah, like him and the other symbiote fighting and all that shit. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about, though. There was something that we've seen recently where it was just like, damn, they showed a lot of that damn movie in the trailer. I don't know. With this, what did you think about the characters? And I had to go to IMDb and pull up because you know how I am. I can never remember the names of the characters in the movie, so I'm just like, that one dude and that one chick, so. But I guess specifically, what did you think about Allison? She's Laurie's granddaughter.
I thought she fit in with like the whole. She didn't quite fit in with her mom's character.
Sure.
But she fit in more with Laurie's character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was about to say, she, as a person, she looked a lot like Laurie did in the the previous movies when she was younger, when
Yeah.
she was that age. She to me, she looked just like her. So
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job with that. Like, just because like they could have just found some random person, yeah.
And it's funny too because they got an actress who resembles like a younger Jamie Lee Curtis, but the actress that plays Laurie's daughter don't look like her at all. And I was
No,
just
not
like,
in here.
And she was
Alright.
adopted.
yeah, pretty much. Like, that ain't no real
Judy
mama.
Greer or Green.
Yeah,
or-
Judy Greer,
Greer,
is the
yeah.
actress's name. That plays Karen, the mom. What about Allison's boyfriend? There's
so much wrong with that guy. I
Yeah.
wanted to punch him in the face.
yeah, and we'll get to it in the spoiler part, but there's some shit that he pulls about halfway through the movie where you like, are you fucking serious right now? I'm like, you don't gotta worry about Michael Myers killing your ass. I'm finna kill your ass, cause, man, he violated bad, and he never gets his comeuppance from it neither. That's
No,
what bothers
I'd have
me
liked
so
to
much.
see Michael kill him off.
Well, okay. Something bad should have happened to him, and he never
Fair
never
enough.
pays for the shit that he does earlier. And I'm just like, really? Like, of all the shit that people did in this that didn't deserve to get what happened to them, you let that slide? I was like,
Right.
all right. So yeah, there was some characters that kind of bugged me. What about the sheriff? Like, did you guys like the sheriff?
I did.
Yeah, I've always liked
I like the sheriff and almost.
from the originals.
Yeah.
Sure.
But yes, it was one of them things where I didn't like how it played out with the sheriff.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that goes to the thing that bothers me the most when we get there.
Yeah.
Because, what happened
too.
with him, I was just like,
What the fuck?
man, get the fuck out of here. Like, that, the movie took a turn for a good 5 minutes where I was just like, I am not liking where this is going at all. It got back on track not long after that, but for a good 5-10 minutes there, I was like, I don't like this shit. Like, what is happening?
What's mightier, the pen or the sword?
I mean, oh my god. It's really difficult for me to try and talk about this without spoiling it.
Yeah, it really is.
So just to go ahead, so we can go ahead and get into it. On now, T Money, this is your first time on the show, so I don't know
Yeah.
if you know our rating scale.
Probably not.
It goes from really fucking liked it, meh, hated it, and really fucking hated it. Where would this fall in that 5 for you?
Like, I actually liked this one more than any of the other Halloweens that
Okay.
I watched.
Okay.
So, like, I really liked it.
Even the original.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
That's
this
totally fair.
was
So
my
I
favorite
would say
one.
he's a really fucking like.
I would say so too. Yeah,
I think
you're
that's our
probably
first
top tier.
one.
Yeah.
No, because we had
No,
one for
Infinity War.
in Black Panther.
Yeah.
Black Panther.
No,
was-
I don't think I had came up with a rating scale for that one just yet, but still, it would be.
It
up
would
there,
be.
yeah, if we had it at that point. Okay, Mel, what you got?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Okay.
And that's big for her because she don't like horror movies.
Really?
I don't.
She
I'm
does
not a
not
horror
like
movie
horror
fan
movies.
at all.
Okay.
But I did enjoy this, and Michael Myers has always been one that's been kind of on the fence for me.
Okay.
You know, the original was good. The second one was tolerable.
Okay.
After that,
They do get.
I never watched
progressively-
one after that. However, I did watch the Rob Zombie. That one wasn't bad either.
Okay. Well, now the first or the second Rob
The first
Zombie
one.
Okay, the second one they go.
No, the second one was garbage. But
Yeah.
the first Rob Zombie one wasn't as bad as people make it out to be.
No, it's okay. It's basically a remake
It's a
of the
Rob Zombie
original
movie.
Halloween with more of his weird shit in it, and then the second one he just go full on Rob Zombie, and I'm just like, this ain't Halloween no more. You just
No.
doing some other shit because there's like ghosts and weird. His dead mom is
Yeah.
back, and I'm like, okay, what is happening? But anyway,
Kind of thought I was watching Friday the 13th again. Or something.
right? I know. I was just like, so did you forget what franchise you was making? Like,
Probably
whatever.
so.
Jason,
This ain't
Michael, they all
Jason.
got masks or some shit. Whatever.
Well, like I said, that's pretty good coming from her because, like I said, she's not a horror movie buff at all. Like I remember we watched Oculus one night, and then
Oh, okay.
right after we watched Oculus, she's like, "Now I need to watch Minions." because I need to watch something that's happy.
You need a palate cleanser to
Yeah.
get that last
Okay.
one off.
Yeah.
Yes, I did say that, but to give some context, we were living in a little trailer house in the middle of the woods with one driveway in and out, and it was all dark and creepy.
That's what made it better.
I know. I was gonna say
Like,
that's a good environment to watch a
No.
horror movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to be scared. That's the point.
I don't like to be scared. That's the point.
And I love it. Like, you get my adrenaline pumping.
Hate being
Yeah.
scared.
Thank you. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved horror movies. Like I've watched I think I said this before on our all the horror thing when we did Friday 13th Part 7, but I used to watch all the Friday 13th movies every year because back on USA on Friday 13th they would just play Jason movies all fucking day
Yeah.
long. So it didn't matter what time, if you just tuned in, you could just watch somebody getting the shit stabbed out of them. And I was like,
Hell yeah.
yes, I'm signing you up for that shit.
Yeah, we grew up watching Freddy and Jason
Yep.
and Michael and Candyman and like all of them. So
Man, people be sleeping on Candyman. Like, Candyman is dope. Like,
I'd never seen it until
see?
him and I got together.
Look, sleeping on Candyman.
I wasn't allowed to watch that kind of stuff. We've already discussed this
No, I mean,
previously.
I get it, but Candyman is dope.
So what was your rating before we get too far out of...
I would say I really like the setup for how they establish Michael getting out again and how they're trying to continue this story. I like the characters for the most part. There were a few that rubbed me the wrong way. There's a couple things that happen, like I said, about 2/3 of the way into the movie that really took me out of it, but they were able to win me back over. I'm kind of conflicted because there's a lot of stuff that I like, but then there was parts that I didn't like. I thought there was a little bit too much comedy. There's
that was
a few
my favorite
jokes
part.
that happen.
of course, that was our favorite part.
Yeah, there was some jokes that happened like during a killing, and
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, you're pulling me out of this moment where this poor girl is being murdered, and y'all cracking jokes and shit. So that kind of
There was never a part where I felt scared. I thought that was a good thing.
There were a few parts that did spook me out.
Really?
But
I didn't jump not once.
and I'll
I
tell
felt
you,
very proud of myself.
there was a couple that spooked me out, especially I think. The bus crash was like the first one, like, and what happens to one of the characters towards the beginning.
Yeah.
That
Oh.
part fucked me up, and I felt like it sets you up for what the tone for the rest of the movie was going to be. But then there's something that happens not long after that where I was like, wait a minute, if you did this, why you ain't doing that? And I'm like, because we talked about this right after.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to sound fucked up for it, but I'll explain. So because I am conflicted, when I left on a high. I will say that. So I'm torn between just liked it and really fucking liked it because I did really fucking like the movie, but there are some things that didn't quite get it there for me, so I'm just gonna
So
stick with
you
liked
probably liked it.
it. Yeah, I'm gonna. It's sad because I did like the movie a whole lot, but it was just a handful of things where I was like, if y'all could have just not did that, it would have almost been perfect. So
Just be a medium in between them two levels.
right, somewhere I need
damn
a
good
6th
movie.
rating. Yeah, right. So now we're doing spoilers.
Spoilers!
The thing that was bothering me, and that I wanted to see happen, there's a scene towards the beginning of the movie, like right when Michael gets off the bus. Oh, real quick. I looked over at you when it happened, but you didn't make eye contact with me, and I thought that you would. The whole setup is there's these people that are going to go visit Michael Myers to try and interview him or get him to talk, and they bring his mask and all that shit. And when it doesn't work, they go to Lori's house, and they go to the buzzer. And the first thing she says, like, after who is it? They're like, this, that, and the other. And they're like, we're podcasters.
I laughed.
And I was like, oh, we're going to get murdered. That's awesome. That's great. I was like, oh, that's going to be us. And then we're going to get stabbed to death.
I had
in
the
fucking gas
thought.
station
I had the
bathroom.
thought. I just didn't look at you.
But I thought that was really
Yeah,
funny.
but to be fair, we ain't throwing out no $3,000 to be able to talk to
Oh,
nobody.
hell no. Look, shit. I'm like, look, you want to come on this shit. Look, we did not give T-Money $3,000 to be on the podcast. Just let that be
I got
known.
a glass of milk and I'm good to go. Yeah.
Right, so you got some Sour Patch Kids and a glass of milk. That is your
Hell
payment.
yeah.
But one of the things that I really enjoyed that they set up at the beginning was after the bus crash, there's before we actually see the bus crash, there's like this dad and his son, and they're sitting there, and the dad's like saying like, oh, I'm going to take you hunting or whatever. He was like, Dad, I just want to dance. I just love to dance, Dad. I just want to dance. He's like, that's just my thing. He's like, I'll go hunting with you next time, but I just want to dance. And it was so fucking funny. that was one of the moments where the comedy worked for me. Mm-hmm. Because it was something to make you care about. Because I think when a character can make you laugh in a movie, you care more about what happens to them.
Sure.
As opposed to just having just a regular old conversation. So when
I thought they were going to get a lot more political than that.
Yeah, but they didn't.
I'm glad
and
they
I
didn't.
appreciate that. Yeah, because then I think that would have turned people off to the movie.
I mean, it's just enough to where...
Yeah. But what's fucked up is the little boy, he's looking for his dad with the gun, and he's like, Dad? And then fucking Dr. Sartain, he pops up and he's like, don't shoot, he's buys!
Shot the shit out of him.
And I was like, man, you had that shit coming. Like, if you don't want somebody to shoot you, you don't just pop up and say, don't shoot. You could have said, hey, don't shoot. I'm going to come up from the floor. You don't pop up and then say, don't shoot.
Popped up out of nowhere, scared the shit out of that little boy.
I'm like, it's a bunch of mental hospital patients wandering around, and you popping up talking about, don't shoot. It's like, I done blew your goddamn brains out.
Yep.
Like, you lucky he only hit you in the shoulder.
Yeah.
But after that, he sees that there's a guard, like, laying in the grass, like, dying, and the boy, he, like, gets scared. He's like, run, and he runs back to the car and gets in, and Michael's, like, in the back seat of the truck, which, was that a 4-door truck or some shit? Cause
it was a 4-door.
Okay. And he, like, breaks the little boy neck, like, on camera, and I was like, ooh, shit. From what I remember, Michael Myers has never killed a child in any of the Halloween movies, as far as I know. There's the couple where he's trying to kill Laurie's, like, daughter, like Jamie, whatever the fuck her name is, but he never actually kills her, so it doesn't count.
No.
This is the first time I've ever actually seen him kill a kid. Which...
Why'd he kill that one and not the other two?
Okay, so... when they were trick-or-treating?
No. He didn't kill the baby.
Okay.
And he didn't kill the little black boy.
The little black boy was gone.
No, the little black boy wasn't gonna let him kill him. He dipped the fuck out. He was like, man, when he came out the closet and cut that girl, he was like, nope, and just ran. I was like, hell no.
Oh, shit.
Man, yeah, he said, oh, shit, and then when she's like screaming
She's
bloody
clawing
fucking
at
murder,
him and
she's like, help, and he's like,
help.
nope.
He's like, nope, and he jetted out.
It was funny, but it bothered me because I was like, that could have been a good moment of like terror, and they kept undercutting it with jokes. And like every few seconds, every time they cut back to the kid, he was making some kind of joke. When he run downstairs and he sees the boyfriend, he's like, where's such and such? You can hear her up there screaming and shit.
Don't
and he's
go
like,
up there, you're gonna get killed.
right, you gonna die, and all this shit. And I was just like, man,
Like, don't go up there, Davey, you gonna die.
I was like, oh man.
I don't know. I
didn't
thought
like
that was funny, but I thought it was funnier because T-Money's sister's sitting there and she's like, yep, that's going to be my kid. Now, most kids would be scared to death.
Oh yeah.
But I do know a handful of people or children.
Sure.
Our relatives that they're going to look at this crazy scene and they're not going to have that compassionate, I got to help. They're going to have that,
Fuck that.
I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Hell yeah, everybody fend for themselves.
Yeah, he said, I told you don't send me to bed early, bitch.
They're
That's
like,
what you get.
Fuck you, I'm out.
Right.
And
If we'd have still been downstairs watching TV, none of this bullshit would have happened. Shit.
You should have been smoking on that little piece that you was
Right.
talking about.
go make out with your boyfriend.
See, that's what happened. You trying to get some dick, now you did. But I, like you said, it bothered me, and this is dark as shit, but I wanted him to kill the baby. I wanted him to murder the baby.
Damn.
Because it's the scene, you see it in the trailer where he walks into the woman's shed, he gets the hammer, and then he goes back in there and he kills her and then takes the butcher knife. I didn't think they were going to show her body, but the camera comes around the corner and she's dead on the kitchen table, and I was like, God damn.
Well, 1970, 6? They wouldn't have shown the body.
Yeah, no.
2018, they said,
Oh, yeah, man.
camera angle.
Yeah, like, she looks fucked up. And that was one of the more disturbing kills because it wasn't, like, really glamorized. There wasn't a lot of screaming and shit. Like, she gets killed off camera. You can hear it and see the table moving, but you don't actually see him kill her. You just see the aftermath. And that's, I think, what made it so, like, visceral is to just see this poor old lady's dead body there. And as Michael's continuing to walk through the house, you hear this baby crying. And you're like, oh, shit. And he stops and looks at the crib, and then he walks off, and he doesn't do anything. And I was like, oh, come on, man. Like, you should have killed the baby. Now, I specifically looked this up because I wanted to see if the director had commented on this or whatever. Now, the guy who made this, David Gordon Green, he says, I'm getting this from CBR.com. They said, For fans of the Halloween films, it's no secret that Michael Myers is a remorseless killer. However, in the newest chapter of the slasher franchise, the enigmatic maniac refrains from murdering an innocent baby. And director David Gordon Green has since explained why the killer didn't, kill. And why doesn't he? And he says, because that would be so rude, Green told Collider. I think it was a consideration. He goes on to say, God damn it. What does he say?
Says...
I know. Yes, it is. It's terrifying in its own right, and it was a last-minute idea. I mean, why is there a baby crib in the living room? He continued. It was going to be her husband sleeping on the couch, but he didn't show up, and we scrambled and put a baby crib in there. And then, I thought it was interesting to see one ethical choice that he made in the movie. So that's the one ethical choice that he makes. So apparently that scene was supposed to be different than what it was. There was going to be a husband on the couch that he was going to kill, but the guy didn't show up to film that scene. So at the last minute, they decided to put a baby crib in there. So I thought that was an interesting little twist, but I just feel like he should have killed the baby.
Like just a single stab.
Yeah. No, I wanted to see him just go ham on. I mean, look at how he killed everybody else. He ain't just like, and you dead. Like, every time he killed somebody, it was always like an extra shit for no reason.
Like the guy sitting outside the bus.
No, okay, not only just him, but when he walks into the woman's house and she's on the phone, when he's looking in the window, he comes up behind her while she's trying to close the curtains. He could have just stabbed her in the neck, which he does, but he like slams her head in front of the chair first, then stabs her in the neck, and I was like, what was that for? It was just like, I just had to get that,
I would say a lot of the kills that he had a thing for breaking people's jaws in this one, because like they would like the whole jawline would be completely dismantled.
Guy at the gas station.
Yeah, the dude at the gas station, like, that's that scene where he throws the teeth down, and then they cut back and show the dude, and his whole, like, mouth, the mask from Scream, how the jaw is like, that's what that dude looked like, and I was like, fuck.
See, and I don't know if y'all noticed it, but whenever we was watching, and I looked at my little sister whenever they walk into the gas station, and they have the scene where it's, the gas station that's in there, and then in the background you see Michael's hand just coming down. I was like, she killing somebody already.
Right, they in there just talking, just do. And this is one of the things that bothered me about the movie. This is one of those contrived moments where I was like, so let me get this straight. Michael Myers broke out of the bus, killed a bunch of motherfuckers, killed a little boy, stole his truck, and he just so happened to pull up to the same gas station that the podcasters were at, who just so happened to have his mask in the trunk of the car. I was like...
It's a small town,
Man, yeah, but that was the one part that bugged me, because I'm like, he didn't follow them, because there was no way in hell he could have known where they went. So he was just driving, like, going to the town to go kill again.
My thing was none of these motherfuckers in this town noticed a guy in a white prison jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Because he was still rolling around in the jumpsuit until he got the clothes.
Yeah, when he kills the mechanic and takes his jumpsuit.
Yeah. Right.
If you remember when the podcast and the guy, when he's pumping gas, there's this old lady just kind of looking, and I'm pretty sure she saw Michael, and she was kind of looking at him like, hey, you might not want to go over there.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she just kind of had this look on her face, and the dude, he kind of is like, hey.
Yeah, the old lady in the van.
He's like,
yeah. And I was just like, yeah, she knows what's up. She like, come on, baby, we finna go.
Like, we gotta get the hell out of here.
We gotta go. Some shit finna go down over here. But that scene in the bathroom where he kills the two podcasters, that shit was so vicious, and just, he slammed my man heads against the stall about 30 times, and the girl was just screaming like bloody murder.
I'd have ran. Like, while he was busy busting my friend's head open, I'd have been gone, like, slithered on that floor and out the door.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's one of the things that gets her caught, was she slithered on the floor underneath.
Yeah, but she waited too long.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, though, Michael big ass, I mean, she wasn't finna get away from him. True. And that bathroom only had 3 stalls in it. And then the door.
And one way out.
Yeah, right. So she would have had to got past him to get to that door no matter what. So she was shook. I mean, I get it. Like,
I say that, but I'd been scared. I'd be the first one to die. I really would be.
Yeah, probably. Now, this movie had exactly what I wanted it to have, a high body count. I looked it up. 17 people He kills from start to finish. There's like 2 or 3 guards on the bus, and then everybody else we see him kill throughout the course of the movie. And I was like, God damn, he killed a lot of motherfuckers. Because by the time he got to the part where he killed and that poor boy, the one who was getting friend zoned, and he was trying to like make out with the girl with the light sensor and shit, man, he got fucked up so bad. Dude. Oh man, because that was some like Me Too moment though shit. Because there's always that character in movies where it's like he's like the loser dude, and I love how he was trying to push up on his boy girlfriend. He like, oh yeah, he ain't shit. Yeah, you gonna give me some of that pussy, though, ain't you? And it's like, no, get the fuck off of me. She was like, I don't like you. He was like, well, I thought we were friends. She was like, yeah, but that don't mean I'm finna give you some pussy. Like, what the fuck you think this is?
That's not how this works.
Right? He's like, oh, I'm drunk, and she's like, get the fuck off of me. And she hopped the fence. And you see Michael in the bushes and say, he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Doyle, or whatever the fuck the dude's name is. Right. He's like, oh man, I'm just drunk. You ever just liked a girl and you just couldn't? And I thought that was a nice little explanation for why Michael's so obsessed with Lori. Because he was like, oh, you ever seen a girl and you just wanted to be with her and you just couldn't have her and this, that, and the other? And I was like, and Michael, I just wanted him to be like, yeah. I do know.
That'd be his one line.
But that kill was cool too, because that was the one time where Michael did feel kind of supernatural, because it was a motion sensor light.
Sure.
But Michael kept moving without the light turning on. So when it would turn on, he'd be like in a totally different spot. And you'd be like, how the fuck you walk over here without the light turning on? Because at first he was like off in the bushes and then the lights go dark. And then they come up and he like right here. And it's like, what the fuck? And they go off again and he like over here. And it's like, okay.
I like when the light first comes on and the girl's like, motion sensor lights, dumbass.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what's there?
Oh no, like he got caught because she fucking pushed his ass down as he was trying to kiss her and shit. He's like, oh what? No, I didn't do nothing, I swear.
Yeah, I love that line.
And then he's like hollering out to her to help, and she's like, yeah, fuck you.
Oh yeah. And then once she can hear like this fear in his voice, she finally comes back, but it's too late by that point.
Yeah, you gotta hit.
And like the hook is like up through the bottom of his jaw.
Yeah, it was the fence. The fence was straight through his jaw and everything. He looked like
he was hanging on that
coming
bitch.
Out his eye.
He looked like in one of them old rural movies whenever they behead somebody and put it on the spike.
Yep.
That's exactly what it looked like.
You were absolutely right. What else?
I like when he stepped on dude's head.
So let's take it back a second.
Sure.
To the baby thing, because I was thinking about that. Because to me, whenever he didn't kill the baby, it reminded me of in the first Halloween that Rob Zombie made. Whenever he's a kid and he kills everybody in his family, but his little sister, which is in the crib. And I was like, well, maybe that's them paying homage to that movie by him not killing a baby, because it was.
That's a good point.
Kind of reminded him of his sister, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe, or like, you know, and maybe the reason why he didn't kill his sister in the Rob Zombie one is because he felt like she was the only one that was innocent. Because in the Rob Zombie movie, they set it up like the reason Michael Myers is the way he is because his family was just fucked
shitty
up.
To
right, they were just mean and alcoholics.
The dad was an old drunk. His mom was a stripper.
Right. So they was like, oh yeah, he deserved to kill all the motherfuckers. And I guess he looked at the baby like, well, the baby ain't never did me no wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
So. But, yeah, which they go on to be like, oh, and that was his sister who was growing up later, yada, yada.
Yeah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but in because you brought up the head squish. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we got to talk about Dr. Sartain. This is the moment in the movie that took me out.
That guy drove me nuts through the whole movie.
He was the most, he is the most comic, cartoonish of all the characters in the movie. Because he's got this weird, Euro trash accent shit going on, and he's like, yes, Michael, is this how it feels to kill? And I'm like, the fuck? Okay. So, pretty much, and Lori even straight out calls him on it. She's like, you're the new Dr. Loomis and shit. And, which basically that's what he is.
Sure.
All the way until he takes this turn, and the sheriff, he fuck this shit. We finna put an end to all this bullshit. He see Michael, he I'm finna kill this motherfucker right now.
He's like, don't kill him, he has to be alive. Nah, fuck that, I'm about to shoot this motherfucker.
Right, and he pulls out this little pen, and then a little switchblade and some shit comes out, and he fucking stabs the sheriff with it, and I'm like, whoa. Now, in other Halloween movies, they've had some shit there's been people trying to help Michael to continue to kill and shit. But when they did it in this, I was like, oh, I hope they're not doing that shit from the Halloween Curse of Michael Myers and all that shit. I'm like, I don't want to see them do that. Then he takes Michael's mask off and he puts it on, and I'm like, oh hell no. For like a split second, I was like, if he becomes the killer for the rest of this movie, I'm finna walk the fuck out this
I'd
I'd have walked.
because one of my coworkers, she said that she saw it Friday, and she was like, it was dumb, I didn't like it, blah blah blah, like just talking mad shit about it. So when that moment comes up, I'm like, this is why she didn't like the movie. He finna be the new Michael Myers of this shit. This is how they gonna make sequels. They gonna kill the real Michael, and then. Cause he looks so goofy. He had on like the sheriff's jacket. And he's still
arm
in the cast.
In a sling. And...
Right, he just pops up. He's like 8 feet. He's like
4 feet
tall and shit. Michael's like 8 feet tall, and I was like, oh man. I did like though how Allison tried to like play him, and she's all like, oh, he spoke to me and this, that, and the other. And he's like, what did he say? She's like, well, pull over and let me out, and I'll tell you. And they established that Michael's knocked the fuck out in the back seat while they're doing this, and the mask is just in the seat. And they're like talking back and forth. And he's like, tell me what he said. And you can start hearing that. Like him breathing in the mask, and they show that the mask is gone. His hand
starts twitching. And...
Oh, man. I was like, that was a good moment. And then this motherfucker, he starts kicking the back of the screen and just starts slamming his head into the fucking steering wheel. And I was like, yes, kill his ass. He drags him out of the car. I don't remember what he says to Michael right before he steps on his head, though. He says something.
He was asking him if it was Victoria. He tells him to say something.
Oh, okay. But who is that, though?
It might not be.
Was it Michael's sister?
Yeah,
that he killed in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the sister that he killed
in the original. Okay.
The one that they flash back to, titties all hanging out.
Yeah, I know. The only nudity in the movie is titties from 40-year-old titties. Is what we got to see with blood all over him and shit.
But the doctor was antagonizing and asking if that's what he had said.
The one thing that he sees, like, I ain't saying shit. Like, I don't know what the fuck.
Like, just say something, and then he squishes dude's head.
That was the one.
You.
Like I said, Dr. Sartain was the cartoonish of all the characters, and that kill was the most cartoonish of all the kills in the movie, because his head just blew up like
but it was
jello
cool.
and shit. And I was just like, well, whatever. It was. Because I even was like, damn, when he did it in the theater.
I'll say the whole theater was like, damn.
Yeah, that I didn't see that coming. Because I thought he was going to like just stab him or some shit.
Sure. But
no, he said, fuck you, and just squished his ass. So by the time we get to the house.
Laurie's house?
Yeah, this is some of the best parts of the movie and some of the not worst, but questionable parts of the movie.
Okay.
By the very end, Laurie's daughter was pissing me off the whole movie.
Yeah.
Laurie has bad PTSD. Bad PTSD. Clearly to the point where, like, she cannot function like a normal person.
Right.
Yeah. And she's just like, well, just get over it, Mom. This is why we don't invite you to functions, Mom. You're just a fuck-up mom. And I'm just like, this bitch ain't shit.
Oh, ungrateful ass.
And then they flash back to, like, how she raised her. She pretty much raised her, like, to be the Terminator and shit. But when shit go down, she's, oh no! And I'm just like, didn't she train you in, like, martial arts?
Yeah.
They have flashbacks, and I thought we was watching, like, the Elektra movie for a minute, because, like, she doing kung fu and doing punching bags and shit, and, like, cocking guns and all that shit.
Most kids would be all excited for that.
Right, I'm like, she turned you into, like, Black Widow from the Avengers and shit, and she was just like, I don't know, I just make brownies and drink pumpkin spice lattes now, and I was like, okay. But by the very end, they did kind of redeem her character for me, because they set Michael up. Yeah, that fake out was good. She's like, Mom, I can't do it. She was like, I can't do it without you. I'm sorry. And Michael came around the corner like he was on some pimp shit. Like he was like, gotcha, bitch.
Uh-huh.
And she was like, got you, bitch.
Yeah, and shot the shit out of his ass. Did she shoot him in the head, or was it his neck?
I think she hit, like, his neck and his collarbone area.
Because I saw the blood go this way, and I was like, oh, she killed him. And then he falls down the stairs. Or, no, I'm sorry, Jamie Lee Curtis hits him with, like, a frying pan or some shit. Then he falls down the stairs. The reason I say that's one of the best parts of the movie is because there was multiple times where I thought Jamie Lee Curtis was finna fucking die. Like, when he breaks through the door and grabs her by the head and starts slamming her shit on the door and, like, picks her up by her head, I was like, oh, he finna kill her.
Throws her out the second floor.
Yes! I thought for sure, like, from that moment on, it was gonna have to be, like, Lori's granddaughter that was gonna have to
Yeah.
be the one to take him down, because I was like, oh, he finna kill her. Like, she
And that was
gone.
another homage to the Michael Myers
Yep.
thing too,
Mhm.
because
From the first one, yep.
he looks away and then he looks back down and she is gone from the ground, and it was like, she pulled a Michael on Michael.
You know, it was funny. It made me think about The Dark Knight Rises, that part where Catwoman disappears on Batman, and he's like, so that's what that feels like. I was like, that's what Michael was saying in his head during that moment. Like, oh, okay, all right, that's how that is. But yeah, because she fights him upstairs with the mannequin and shit. And how he kills the cops. Like, he makes the one cop head into, like, a jack-o'-lantern and shit.
Yeah.
And he puts,
Yeah,
like, the
that
flashlight
was
in
crazy.
there. That was fucking crazy. I was like, oh, man. But again, it kind of threw me off because I've heard people kind of question, like, well, why does Michael kill the people that he kills? And if he's just this mindless killing machine, why is he going after Lori? My thought was...
She's the one that got away.
Yeah, Michael wasn't, like, necessarily seeking her out. But once he saw her, he was like, oh no, I gotta kill her. That's like his Moby Dick.
Right.
Like, that's his white whale. Like, he was like, she's the one who got away. I gotta kill her. Everybody else was just like, hey, if you by yourself and I catch you slipping, you finna get it.
Right.
I heard people argue like, well, why kill the babysitter? Well, because that's what he fucking does. Like, what are you talking about?
I would say babysitters are his MO.
When at the beginning, before he goes and kills the woman with the hammer, or no, I'm sorry, after he kills the woman with the hammer and gets the butcher knife, he's walking up to this black girl that's dressed in a nurse's outfit that's gonna get into a car.
Right.
Yeah.
And right before he gets ready to kill her, her boyfriend comes out and he's like, shit. And he just stops and just lets them drive off. Michael is a killer of opportunity. If he sees an opening so he can kill you, he will do it.
Right.
If there's too many motherfuckers around, he not gonna fuck around because, again, they established he is human. He can be killed. So he not finna put himself in a spot where it's like, oh, I gotta fight like 6-7 motherfuckers. They all got guns and shit. He like, no, if I catch you slipping, then I'm gonna get you. You know, I'm not finna put myself in no open spot. He's not Jason where he can just walk and just take bullets like a tank and shit.
Right.
Like, Michael is a killer of opportunity. So he hid in the closet to kill the babysitter. You know, he in the bushes to kill the motherfucking dorky drunk kid and shit.
I mean, honestly, if you want to take a real far reach, you can say that he's killing those that are doing things they shouldn't be doing.
True, but it's like, I don't think that I don't think too much into it.
I don't think it applies to all of them.
Yeah, no,
And like
I
I
just
said,
think-
it would be a reach. But I mean, if you're gonna, okay, well, the babysitter is trying to screw her boyfriend and smoke weed instead of take care of the little kid.
Sure.
So then, yeah, she's got to get it.
Yeah,
Or-
but he would have killed the kid though too.
That's
So
true. If the kid wouldn't have jetted, he'd have been like,
exactly,
all right, You're
exactly.
here.
Because I've heard people try to argue like, oh, well, you know, because of the whole drugs
Yeah.
and alcohol and sex and stuff. He's like, oh, that's why he killed the kid out in the gate. You know, because he was drunk and was trying to take advantage of old girls. Like, yeah, but then he tries to kill her too. So
Right.
that don't really make sense.
He's
I'm
not
like,
Michael Myers, or he's not Jason.
exactly. I'm
Jason
like,
Jason does
the ultimate cockblocker.
Well, Jason does the revenge killings, you know, because the camp counselors were all fucking and let him drown. So
Exactly,
he goes and
exactly.
kills the camp counselors because they weren't doing their job.
Exactly.
Michael Myers don't do that shit.
No.
I'll tell you one thing though, I did want to see Allison's boyfriend get it though.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yes. That
Especially
son of a
after he
bitch.
put her phone in the fucking pudding.
So there's a part where they go to this because he seems like an all right dude up until that point.
Sure.
Kinda
Till the
weird.
dance.
Yeah, but until they go to the dance, he got this little flask and he get drunk at the dance and he get caught making out with some bitch on the dance floor. And
He's like, she was just whispering in my ear.
right, she
The
like.
fuck he was.
I wanted her to look at the camera and be like, "Did you hear this bullshit? You think this motherfucker think I'm stupid?" I was like, "Man." She's like, you know, like, oh, fuck off, fuck you, you ain't shit, blah, 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 blah. And then, like, her mom is trying to call her because, you know, Michael's in town, you know,
Right,
sheriffs
right.
and shit are
They
there.
all together.
Right, and he straight up snatch her phone out her hand and throw it in some pudding or
Yeah, it was
nacho
the
dip or
pudding.
some bullshit.
Yeah.
My thought is it was just pudding. It's not liquid.
That, my first thought too was you could have wiped a lot of that shit off and still
Right.
answered the phone. Cause she don't even get it. She just
No, she
leaves
just
it in
leaves
there.
it,
And I'm
yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
you
'cause
can't go put that in rice later or something?
Yeah, he's just like,
could just
oh,
wipe it off.
well, your mom's calling you on the phone again. So he takes it out of her hand and throws it in the pudding. And then he's like, oh, so you want to get that? Or do
You want me to get it? Man,
And
I
then
want
she just walked off.
That's why I said you wouldn't have to
I'd
worry
have-
about
I'd have
Michael
been
Myers
like-
killing you. I would have killed that
I was
son
about
of
to
a
say,
bitch.
I wish she would have went Michael Myers on him and just like
Smack that
fucking got his
flask
ass.
upside the back of his head.
Well, at the end, she got that knife and shit. She might, the next movie, she might go kill that motherfucker. Because I was just thinking the whole time, like,
I
you
wanted
got
her to
caught
at least
fucking
smack
up.
him.
Right, you got caught fucking up because you drunk.
Tried to blame
And
it on
then you
something
gonna get
else.
all indignant on her and act like you ain't, you didn't do shit and she shouldn't be ignoring you or whatever. Then you gonna take her shit and throw it? I'm like, man. I thought for sure right when that happened, I was like, oh yeah, he finna die. I'm like, I thought Michael Myers was gonna come out the pudding and stab him. I was like, he finna die. But the fact that he didn't bugged me so much. I was just like, are we for real right now?
We're just gonna dismiss this here.
Man, it was. What about the dad? Because he was such
the dumbass
he
dad that goes
deserved
outside
it.
and just fucking
I'm
lets
sorry.
Michael Myers
Look,
back
that
in.
man
Yeah.
deserved to die.
Yeah,
First of all, when Lori come to the house and they don't have any kind of security system,
Yep.
they don't have anything.
He's like, I can protect my family, and she like, shut your motherfucking
She's
ass
like, you don't
up.
even have a gun.
Right, he's like, put that gun down. I was like, man, you better calm down.
She
You
about
know
to shoot
she's
your
crazy.
ass.
I'm like,
Like-
you know her mama crazy. She'll shoot the shit out
This
your
is my
ass.
house. I can protect. No, you can't. You're ridiculous.
My thing is like they're in they're in Lori's house, and then you see the cop car pull up, and then he goes outside, unlocks like the 12,000 bolts that she has on the damn door, and then goes outside like she has this whole house locked down like Fort Knox, and then he just opens up the door and goes in outside and like, oh, did you find Allison? You about to die?
Obviously, when they had the little powwow that said "stay in the house," he missed that memo.
Yeah.
There's a psycho killer out there. He missed that memo.
I did like how she had a plan. Because in a lot of these horror movies,
They
when
wing it.
it's like, especially when it's a sequel and like they're trying to set the killer up to kill him this next time,
Right.
they never really have a plan to stop him. She had that shit completely thought out.
Oh, hell
The
yeah.
way she had that house set up, like, you couldn't get in through the windows and shit. Even though he does break through the little slits in the door, he couldn't get in that way.
Right.
And he had to, well, he eventually did because he broke it and then lifted the thing. But I mean, look, he Michael Myers. He was going to get in that bitch one way or
Yeah,
another.
one way or another.
But I
Didn't have
liked
stuff
how,
in the rooms.
right, I liked how she had the room set up to where when she cleared the room and made sure nobody was in there,
That
she hit a
guard
button
came down.
and a shutter would come down and lock the room off. So that way he could never go into a different
Can't
room
come from
behind
behind
her.
her.
Right, so every time she would clear one room, she's like, boom, I know I'm good. From here back, I'm good. So everything, she was just kind of putting him into a corner and going further and further into
Right.
the house. And I thought that was really smart. But this one scene that made me go, like, are we sure Michael is still human? Because they have this, like, panic room thing where, like, the islander in the kitchen folds back
Slides
and
over.
goes into the cellar and shit. And I thought, oh, he gonna find a remote and figure out how to open it. He's like,
Well,
no,
yeah,
I'm just
it's
gonna rip this bitch clean
Labeled
up.
garage. And if it's me and I see something labeled garage, I'm gonna open it.
Well, I ain't seen no garage around that motherfucker
Right,
yet.
right,
Shit.
and be like, well, what's this do?
And he just straight up rips the whole fucking thing out of the floor. And I was like, now, to be fair, it did take a few
I
tries.
would say,
for him
I
to
think
do
it was on hinges too.
Yeah, but the way he ripped that shit up, I was like, yeah, y'all fucked, man. Because at that point, I was like, he lifted motherfuckers up by the head off
I'll
the
say,
ground.
ain't no 7-year-old man
Yeah.
just lifting shit.
I'm like, y'all just fucked now. The one thing, that's why I said the ending shit in the house is some of the best shit in the movie and some of the most questionable shit in the movie. It's the very end of the movie. They got Michael trapped. They explain, they're like, oh, this isn't
not
a
a
cage,
cell,
it's
it's
a
a-
trap or something.
right.
Which I didn't like that line. I thought she was gonna be like, it's not a cage, it's a tomb or a grave or some shit.
Right,
That's
right.
what I
They
thought
could have
were
had a
gonna
better
say.
choice of
But
words.
I was like, trap, whatever. The one thing that bothers me is they got him in the basement. Mm-hmm. They shut the thing.
Yeah.
They all stand there and look at him, and the house is filling up with gas, and, you know, she's lighting the flare to throw it on there to set him on fire. That would have been the perfect moment for them all to have went and got a gun
And shot him.
and just killed his ass right then and there and been done with. He was a literal fish in a barrel. He had nowhere else to go. They could have just stood there and just boom, boom. I would have lit his ass up like a goddamn napkin. He'd have had more holes in him than a chain
Train
link
door.
fence. He would have been just Swiss cheese by the time we was done. Then I would have set his ass on fire just to make sure there was no fucking way in hell he could ever come back.
Yep.
I've heard people argue that you don't see his body once the basement catches on fire.
Right.
I just took it as, well, the motherfucker, he
was
burned
burnt
it, he
the
just
fuck up.
fell and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just fell down and he's on fire.
But you know people are reading into it like it's sequel teaser.
Yeah. And I swear to God that I read somewhere that there was a stinger at the end of this shit, but
We was the
clearly
only
there was
motherfuckers
not.
left in the damn theater.
We was so stupid. Okay, it was just our crew that stayed behind. We was all like, oh no, wait, it's gonna be something at the end. All these look at these stupid motherfuckers leaving. We gonna see the thing and they ain't gonna see it. The security dude who kicked
say
out
Barney
the group
Fife
before,
walks back.
he's standing there the whole time. He was at the back the
He
whole
was sitting there
time.
laughing.
And we get all the way to the end credits, and there is a moment at the very end where you hear Michael breathing, like through the mask.
Maybe
again.
that's what they were talking about.
So maybe, I guess it's that, but then it comes up, and he's like, yep, no stinger, it's just in the Marvel movies. And I was just like, bitch, if you knew that, why you ain't say something about, like, halfway through these long-ass credits?
Hell
you
yeah.
just sat
Bro,
through?
them credits took like 10, 15 minutes.
I was just like, man, like, he just, nah, it's cool, I ain't gonna say nothing. Fuck it, they'll figure it out. I was just like, but I don't want them to make another one. I
No,
got a
I want them
feeling
to
that
be
they're
done.
Like, to me, that was a good way to end it.
right in the
Like,
franchise.
Yeah,
period.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a good way to end all of it. I mean, you know, Lori gets what she always wanted, and Michael's done. And
Right, and you got the 3 generation of Strode women who survived him
Yeah.
now. It's the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter all in the truck
Right.
together. They kind of hinted that maybe the daughter might be crazy now, because she still had the knife that she stabbed Michael with, and she didn't let that shit go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't know if that was supposed to be like, oh, now she finna have PTSD and be all fucked up
Could
like
be.
Lori
I said
was.
that could be
Or
like
she was gonna be a new killer now or some shit.
That could be like a homage to how the Rob Zombie ones ended, because the way that one ended was the sister goes to the crazy house, and then they end it like that with her being like all foo LaGru, you know. And so I mean that kind of played to the same thing to me.
I could see that. But that's what I'm worried about, though. What else can you do after that? I mean, they got him good. I mean, they had him dead to fucking rights, man. I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
They torched the house.
what else can you do at that point? But again, you can make the argument, well, they didn't shoot him in the head, which I'm like, y'all should have just blew his ass
I'd have
away,
kept
man.
shooting.
Like,
Hell
fuck
yeah.
that.
Did you see that arsenal of guns she had in that damn basement?
But that's the thing. I was thinking about it later when I was making this argument in my head. I'm like, did they have guns upstairs too, or was it all
It was
in the
all
basement?
downstairs.
Okay,
They
maybe
was all in the
Well, the
cellar.
daughter had one in her hand.
when she went back, because she
Yeah.
shoots him from the basement, then
Yeah.
they go back up.
Did she take that shotgun up with her?
I don't think she had a sniper rifle. Because
Okay.
it had KS on it for like kill shot. So,
Well, those are her initials. Karen Strode.
Yeah.
oh, that was her gun.
That was her
Oh,
gun
that,
when she was a
that
kid.
was the
Make
gun that she
kill
used
shot.
whenever she was a
Okay.
kid.
Okay.
Whenever her mama was training
When she was
her and all
okay.
that, that was
Okay.
the gun she used as a little girl.
That's fair. That's because she had carved it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe she didn't take it up with her. I mean, I don't know. Still, man, I'd have took a stick and been poking his ass with it, something,
Throwing
man.
knives at him.
Look, no, because knowing his ass, he could have reached up through that shit. But that was the one moment in the movie where Michael felt like a real person to me, because I felt bad for him. He seemed sad because they had locked him up and he knew, like, I'm fucked.
Right.
And he's just standing there staring at him. Like, he don't move. He don't try to, like, keep reaching at him all crazy, like, being desperate. He just there like, fuck, they got me. Like, he just knew, like, they got me.
Right.
Like, that's it. And I was just like, damn, I kind of feel a little bit bad for you.
I don't know, maybe
Just a little bit.
he felt like he was back in the penitentiary. He was just like, shit, I'm locked back up.
I just got out.
Damn.
Shit. I'm not going back to
Locked
prison.
up. That won't let me.
I was like, when he turned into Akon all of a sudden.
T-Money!
Oh, shit. Oh, God. We the best.
DJ Khaled!
I swear.
DJ Melly Mel.
Right, there you go. Right. DJ Melly Mel and T-Money mixtape this summer. So, is there anything else before we wrap this up that you wanted to address in the movie? Anything you like, dislike, agree or disagree with any of the people's like comments about them not liking the movie or liking it?
I mean, to each their own. there's a lot of people that like certain movies that I can't stand, and there's lots of people that agree with me on movies that
But no, sure.
I mean, I liked it. I liked it for what it was. I liked it for what it was supposed to be. I thought it was pretty good, and
That's fair.
I would see it again. Like if it was.
I was talking about friends at work today about it. I was like, I kind of want to see it again. I'm like, I liked it that much. I would go see it again.
Yeah,
I'm not going to, but
right.
I there's too much other shit we need to see already.
Yeah.
But I'm like, if I had a movie besides like Infinity War and shit that I would go to the theater and see again this year, it'd
probably be. Yeah.
I rather enjoyed it too. What about you, T-Money?
Yeah, I did too. Like, I really enjoyed it, and it was like whenever we was talking after the movie, I was like, "Oh, yep, it's a good moment for black people." I was like, ain't no black people died in this movie.
Nope. The couple that are dressed up as the nurse and doctor,
they gone. The little
boy,
black kid, he's in California somewhere by now.
Right, he
gone.
never stopped running shit. I thought for sure that I don't know who he would have been if the one dude was the sheriff, but he was a black dude with the cowboy hat.
Like the deputy, like he was.
And I was just like, why?
I was waiting for him to get it.
I'm like, look, I know this is some small
I thought
town,
he would have been the first one.
but
to
I'm
go.
like, this is still in Illinois. Why y'all got him dressed like he came out of Texas or some shit? I'm just like, do black people wear cowboy hats in Illinois?
No,
Like,
black people don't even wear cowboy hats in Texas.
Yeah, I was just gonna
Barely.
say,
Barely.
I was like, man, I guess, look, he was just living his best life. I guess.
Hell
I was just
yeah.
like, hey, do you, boo?
Like,
He
you know,
just liked the cowboy hat.
they did have some comedy in the movie, so you know they could have had Michael like kill him and then wear the cowboy hat on top of his mask.
God. Right. Yeah, because that was one thing that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit too. But it was like, hey, it's a Halloween movie. They gotta have these things in it. Michael takes the time to like dress up his victims. He's like making jack-o'-lanterns out of their heads. He's like fucking putting the sheet over the girl, the babysitter and shit, making her like a ghost, like an homage to the first Halloween. And I'm just like, would he do all that though?
Maybe he was making up for lost time. He been locked up.
He
for
like,
a
man,
while.
I've been playing this shit for 40 fucking years. I'm finna savor every last one. He said, I know they gonna let me. I'm not finna make it out of this night. Like, somebody gonna kill me this fucking time, so I'm finna do everything I've been wanting to do these last 40 years. And there's...
I was very impressed there weren't any rape scenes.
Yeah. Well, almost.
I mean,
but-
Michael Myers has not ever been a rapist and a killer.
No.
But, you know, there's always, you know, naked titties from the first one.
Sure.
There wasn't any nudity. There wasn't any kind of naked, like, the babysitter didn't get to fucking, I mean, they were just making out on the couch.
Which is really rare, especially for
horror
movies
movies,
these
yeah.
days.
I think they were trying to make it a point, you know, because they had such strong female characters in this that they were like, hey, you know, we ain't just gonna be a bunch of, you know,
Typical.
horny ass, you know, teenagers and all this bullshit.
Right.
I mean, because look, you know, you ain't finna see no Lori titties in this shit. Like, hell no. Which Jamie Lee Curtis still looked good. I was gonna say, for her to be damn near 60 years old, I was like, when she was down there cleaning her guns and all that shit and had her tank top on, I was like, okay. I was like, I see you. But
she needed a hairbrush, but
yeah, no, that wig they gave her
that kind of
was
played
just,
into her PTSD kind of thing.
Yeah, she's that crazy cat lady looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but she got a fucking Uzi in the basement and shit. She's like, shit, she ain't bullshitting. But yeah, overall, I would definitely say if you haven't seen Halloween 2018, and I hope you have, you've listened this far, but if you haven't seen the movie and you're considering going to see it, we've literally spoiled every fucking thing in the movie.
But just listen to this podcast again. You'll be all right.
Right, I know, but I would still say go see the movie.
See it.
It's good.
It's worth the second time around.
Yeah.
Support it, definitely. It didn't quite, but it almost outgrows Venom's opening weekend. It almost took the number one spot for biggest opening in October. I was wanting to, so I was like, please take Venom out of that goddamn spot. But it didn't. But people are like making debates like, oh, I hope they don't make another one. I think they should. I hope they should. They're gonna make another one. Like, this movie made too much fucking money off of the budget that they had. they're making another one.
Yeah,
Like,
it's Michael Myers. Like, there's already 11 of them, so,
Yeah.
they're gonna make another one. I kind of think that it would be good. Like, I love the Michael Myers, the Halloween series and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that they should end it with this one.
If you were going to pick one to end it, yes.
It would be this one.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, because this is the one, besides H2O, where she cuts his fucking head off and then they still find a way to bring him back. It's like, oh, it wasn't him. He put his mask on a different dude. And I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck? But, yeah. This would be the time where I would finally say, like, put the series to bed. You've told every story you can tell at this point.
I mean, it's been 40 years.
True.
What else goes for 40 years?
True. But I mean, and again, no, they keep finding a way to
think
bring
about
Jason
it,
back, so.
40 years, that means he's only like 50.
I feel like they should have a 3-way battle between Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. Just do that movie. Freddy versus Jason versus Michael, and just versus Candyman versus the Saw puppet versus the Scream dude. And just put them all in like a celebrity deathmatch Royal Rumble movie. And,
put them in
then,
that new puzzle movie that's coming out.
Oh, Escape Room. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it'll be Alien versus Predator versus Freddy versus Jason versus Michael versus Batman versus Superman versus, oh, it's going to be great.
It'll be the Halloween nightmare at Camp Crystal Lake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's it for the show. I think we've covered literally everything that I was planning on talking for this one.
Yes.
But no, this was fun. I appreciate you coming out and doing this with us. We've always tried to get T-Money to come in and do it, but he never wants to. But we finally made him watch a movie with us, so he had to do it. Plus, what the fuck else was he going to do but just sit here and listen to us talk? So I was like, well, you might as well.
On the sofa, I probably fell asleep.
Exactly. Because I'm like, you can't watch shit because you got to be quiet. It's like, well, sorry. I guess you go have to do it this time.
Drink my little milk.
Right. But warm it up for you. Get you a blanket. You'll be all right.
Yeah,
No, don't put him to sleep.
Right. She's like, motherfucker, we gotta go home. Hell no. But, I do really appreciate you coming on and doing this with us. I had fun.
Yep,
So the next time we go see a movie, now you won't have an excuse to do this.
Horror movie.
Sure. Okay.
I'll specialize.
I'll say he's going to want to come see Pet Cemetery with us.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to see Pet Cemetery.
Are you wanting to see the Escape Room movie? Because I kind of want to see that one too.
Yeah,
that doesn't come out until January though.
Yeah.
So
we're booking movies for next year.
Pretty much, because it was funny because me and my girlfriend
He'll probably go see Aquaman with us.
had. Oh really?
Yeah, I was thinking about going to see that one. I don't even like Aquaman, but like the movie looked good.
Nobody
So.
fucking likes Aquaman. This is they attempt to make you like Aquaman because they're like, we know he whack, but look, we got Jason Momoa to do it. Like,
Hey, that's my
right.
hook.
But yeah, me and my girlfriend, we were talking about doing this thing on Facebook. That she has seen a post about where like this couple picks like a different restaurant to go to every week and shit, and then like they're not supposed to have their phones.
Oh
and all
yeah,
this other
I
shit,
saw that
and
post.
do something together, and I was like, and so we were talking about doing it on Saturday. So I figure if we do that, then we can all go. And now it doesn't have to be every single week, but
Sure.
if there's a week that we're gonna do a movie review,
Right.
the next week, then we can use that day to go see something. So I was like, we'll get it figured out though.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I had fun, especially going with a group and two.
Oh yeah, it was
I liked
fun.
it. Yeah. Except,
Maybe we can get that group to, go do other things besides watch movies. Not that I don't love to watch movies.
Sure.
But I'm sure that if the 10 of us got together.
we can do an escape the room, and then we can see who can survive to be the last person.
And I told
I was
Melissa when we was
I was
watching the
thinking-
preview for the escape room, I was like, I really want to see that movie, and I really want to go to an escape room because I've never been to an escape room before.
We went for
and
the first time.
I've always wanted to do one.
It's fun.
I was kind of thinking more along the lines of cards and beer, but whatever.
She's like, sure, escape room.
some alcohol.
Escape room.
Yeah.
We can get an escape room that has a deck of cards and a little cellar or something.
Well, if we playing cards, we ain't gonna want to escape.
Well, it depends on what card game.
Well, that's all the way until the room catches on fire. Then you gotta get the fucking.
If anybody sees a dial that looks like an oven temperature,
Don't touch that bullshit.
touch it.
Yeah. Or if you do, turn it to Fahrenheit 451 or some bullshit. I don't know. But anyway, kids, we're gonna let you go. That is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home at onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com. we are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and like, subscribe, rate, follow, review, and all that shit.
T-Money out! I know, I'm like...
You can always email us at officialoglfg.gmail.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always follow us on Twitter, and we're at Giant Leap 4 Geeks. You can also find us on Facebook, Reddit, Pinterest. Just basically all you have to do is search One Giant Leap for Geeks. You guys have a good night. Bye.